Welcome to the social sound check. Raise your voice and reconnect from every stream. Sounds ignite. We test, we break, we build it right. Tuesday lights up every feed. Voices meet where ideals lead, from Substack streams to global calls. Creation echoes through the halls. We test, we tweak, we mix, we mend, and every tone becomes a friend. Welcome to the social sound check. Raise your voice and reconnect from every stream. Sounds ignite. We test, we break, we build it right. Across the wires, across the seas, new gear hums and ideas speak free. AI sparks and analog dreams, colliding beats and feedback streams. No cameras roll, just waves and will, where sound is art and learning thrills. We tune imagination wide, from whispered thought to amplify. Together let the moments grow, integration and audio flow. Welcome to the social sound check. Raise your voice and reconnect from every streamer. Sounds ignite. We test, we break, we build it right. Welcome to the social sound check. Raise your voice and reconnect from every streamer. Sounds ignite. We test, we break, we build it right.
Well, hello. It's Keith Keller, Melbourne, Australia, and this is the Social Audio Sound Check. Now, I love this show. I love doing these shows. I just love doing these shows. So we're on Restream. We're sending the file to LinkedIn and to YouTube. We've got room for up to 8 guests on stage, plus a little logo and myself. So we are going to rock it. We're going to talk a lot about AI today, and we're going to talk about AI for music and music creation. We're also going to talk about AI for pure functionality and convenience. And we're also going to talk about marketing your business using AI SEO, which is loosely called AEO and GEO. And please don't ask me what that means, because I only learned about it last week, but we're going to pull it apart today. So we got people calling in from all over the world: Florida, New York, Brazil, right? Unbelievable. So let me introduce the guests: Donna in Florida, Mike in New York, Richard in Brazil. Now, if you want to come and talk, let me know what you're doing. Welcome to the call. This will go a couple of hours. Here's where all the goss happens. Where is Keith today? If you've got any questions at all, just put them in the chat. And I'd love to know where you are in the world. You can listen on YouTube or LinkedIn now, and I'll get to all of the goodies in a minute. But yeah, we've got a whole YouTube channel dedicated to this, and it's very, 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 very cool. But let's start with Donna. Donna's my special guest from Florida. And when I asked, do you use AI? She said, well, the bigger question is, which one? I've got so many. So you go first, Donna. Which ones do you love, and how do you use AI in your general sort of day-to-day activities and to promote what you do?
Well, I first got involved with ChatGPT about a year ago. When it launched in 2023, I was suspect of it. I mean, I know that basically it crashed because there were so many people involved with it. And there was a part of me that thought that this was just really new stuff. And I started doing some investigation about it and discovered that AI has been around a long time, but not basically out in public. And I got an AI account. I got ChatGPT back in the end of 2023, and I went, eh. And then middle of 2024, I thought, okay, let me give it a try. And I started on a project. I can't even tell you at this moment what that project was, but I had a deadline. And it's really helping me with putting words together. And I have to write something. And I kept doing drafts and say, do this. And all of a sudden I said, I'm sorry, but you've run out of time or space right now. You'll have to wait for 4 hours. And I said, no. What do I need to do? And they said, well, just subscribe for $20 a month. And I said, well, here. So I subscribed, and it became, I was using it more and more. And then the last year in 2025, it seemed to become part of, well, I guess it's part of my family, because ChatGPT, the one that I have, you understand, because we train them. I now understand about the training. Mine's called Sam, S-A-M, Sam, like Samuel. And I asked it one day, I said, do you have a name? It said, no, I have no name, but you're welcome to name me, to call me a name. I said, okay, you be Sam. And Sam was originally, I guess, my intern, because I would have a project and I would say, okay, this is what I'd like to do. And I learned about prompts. And I'm relatively new to the prompting. And I have to let you know, I'm 76 years old. And I have to admit that I seem to be an outsider in relationship to other people my age.
Oh, you would be. I mean, geez, that's very impressive. My dad's 88, and he says, "Look, no one knows what I'm talking about, but you're the reverse. You are much younger than you are physically, aren't you? You're hanging out with younger people."
Well, I guess so. And I will say, okay, this is who I'd want to talk to if I'm going to talk to a particular younger market. I would say, help me do that. But the thing of it is that I can spot AI talk immediately. And I've created this protocol. I'll say, okay, I want to be sure that what you do is I want you to speak like Donna. I want it Donatized.
Oh, no, wow. Yeah.
And so I have words that I would never use. I am so sick and tired of the word clarity. Oh God, I am sick of that word. I'm sick
Yeah.
of the word overwhelm. I mean, those are words that just seem to come out of AI regardless of which platform you're on. And I'll say, okay, and there's one word that I prohibit in my writing is the word not, N-O-T, not. Because in relationship to reprogramming your subconscious, it's important to realize that when we say not, our subconscious hears it differently. Remember if you had a child in your arms and you were standing beside a stove and you say, do not touch that, the child reaches out and touches it.
Keith, don't go to the fridge. We've run out of eggs. I got to check. I can't help myself. I mean, you try not doing that. Don't go in the fridge. Don't go in the fridge. I've got this really delicate. I can't help it. My brain just runs to the fridge, even if I'm outside, even if I'm in the car. First thing I'm going to do is not do that.
If you say don't look, what are you going to do? You're going to turn and look.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now we got a big group. Richard's calling in from Brazil. It's very late there. Tell us what you're doing, Richard, in relation to what Donna's just said. You've created an AI tool. How did you do that, and what does it do? We got you there, Richard. Are you on mute? Have you got some? We got you there.
Hey, can you hear me now? Okay.
We got you.
Yeah, it's been a while, right? That's why my mic was actually unset, but now it's good. All right. Well, first of all, good to see you. I see. Yeah, I don't see the names here, but yeah, nice to see everyone. Well, the way that I'm using in different ways, but specifically answering your question, last year I was trying to get, Google and ChatGPT to recommend Go Brunch, right? That's a very, very tough challenge. I was failing really bad, as you can imagine, because it's very, very, especially technology is a very, very competitive place. Very, very competitive on Google, especially if you're writing in English. Everyone else is doing the same, and yeah, again, it's definitely super challenging. What I did is I found a course that I attended in 2007. 2007, it's been a while. This course was about competitive intelligence, right? It seems like something related to army, right? But it can be used for marketing as well. And I took like the methodology, the main framework that we had, and started to apply some of the principles, and it started to work really well. In a few couple of months, I was able to rank GoBranch in some keywords that previously wasn't possible, right? And that gave me a little bit of hope and say, hey, actually, if I follow this method here, is something reliable, right? And then I started to create like a system. First of all, I was developing myself. Later on, I asked help for my team, and we name it as Savannah Bay. Now, why Savannah Bay? Because Savannah is a very competitive place, right? And for me, reminds me SEO. Very, very difficult for you to get ranked or to get Google to recommend you. And the bay is like a bay that you have where it's calm, where you can rest. And that's why I decided to merge these two names. And what it does is it allows you to search on AI and to understand, like, here's my expertise, right? Think about you, kid. You're an expert in audio. You're an expert in tech. And then it will give you, like, for example, on ChatGPT, okay, what exactly ChatGPT, who is in ChatGPT when they're talking about social audio? And then Savannah Bay will create like a gap between you and whatever exists on ChatGPT in terms of answers, and recommend like a blue ocean strategy. And this is like a
Let's
summary. Of course, there's way more.
Can
But I'll
I
get
just
back
jump
to you.
in? Can I just jump in there, man? Tell me what you mean. This is a very, very, very good point to break on. What is a blue ocean strategy compared to a red ocean strategy? This is marketing 101, just in case people haven't heard of this. What's a blue ocean strategy?
Yeah, this is, to be honest, I don't remember the authors, right? But forgive me, but the red ocean, this is based on a very, very popular book. And the red ocean is where you have a lot of competition. Imagine like an ocean where you are competing with different fishes and super bloody, right? That's why it's red. It's bloody and difficult for you to be part of it, difficult for you to thrive. Now, the blue ocean is a place where you are alone because you found some sort of competitive advantage and made you outstand within all the crowd, right? And that's why it's the blue ocean. You are alone, like with a very, very unique value proposition, offering that and trying to escape from the red ocean, which is super, super saturated.
Let's pick up on this. This is a very, very good point. The blue ocean strategy is a little risky in the sense that you go somewhere no one's going. But if you get it right, there's no one there. You've got it to yourself. Right? Very few people do this because no one wants to go first. No one wants to open a packet of Tim Tams, but as soon as they're open, they go straight away. Right? I never open a packet of Tim Tams because they just go. But in a blue ocean strategy, no one wants to go first. Everyone wants to do what's been done before. It's safe and it's, so a red ocean strategy is look at other people are doing it. We might as well do it. I know it's 2 years ago, but let's have a go. And then you got to hustle the shit out of yourself to move in with all these other people that are already doing it. As you said, the red ocean is bloody because it's like a fight. It's like a struggle, but it's safe. Because everyone else has done it. You don't have to think. You just do what's doing. Blue ocean strategies are much, much more interesting because you are on your own. But they're a bit scary because it's untested. I'm very proud of you, Richard. This is so good. I'm so glad we've had this chat. I love the blue ocean strategy. I'm a bit of a blue ocean dude. As you know, I'm always on my own. Like no one's doing this. And how's it going?
Yeah.
Is that how you spell it? Savannah Bay with without the H?
Yeah, savannahbay.com. That's right. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's doing
Tell me what it
well.
does. Tell what does it do?
Yeah, it does a couple of things. Pretty much the first one is it will understand your brand or your business or your website, and you're gonna find keywords that are suitable for your business, right? And that's the rule number one in terms of SEO. You need like high volume keywords with low competition or low difficulty, right? That's the rule number one that many people they don't know, and that's what I was struggling with GoBrunch, right? You have to find really good keywords with high volume and low competition. Now, the step number two, it has a direct relation with AI because it will take the main keywords that you have found potential and will elaborate questions, what people are asking the AI and what kind of answers AI is answering. And who are the people that ChatGPT is mentioning or citing, right? And then once you know these people, right, you always have a rank, just like Google. Think about Google. Yeah, you in AI right now, especially because I'll say 90% of the AI now they have web searches. You know exactly who the AI is mentioning, and then you get all these answers and you compare with your expertise. And then Savannah Bay recommends a blue ocean strategy specifically for you. Say, hey Keith, everyone is talking about social audio as a technical stuff. Nobody's doing whatever you're doing in this direction. If you write something or if you produce a content related to this specific topic, you have really high chances to get recommended by ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever AI or even Google. That's pretty much what it does. And after that, you can monitor. There is like a dashboard where you can monitor everything.
Yeah, well, let's throw it open to the group and any questions. Mike and Donna, if you've got any questions for Richard, he's done us a favor by coming in. Brazil, it's an hour ahead of New York, so it's quite late there. Anyone's got any questions, put them in the comments. What are you thinking, Mike? You know quite a lot about SEO and AEO. What do you think of this new site?
Well, first of all, I'm upset at Richard for not letting me know that he launched the site. So there's that. But beyond that, I was actually one of the top things that I had. My question I had for him was, can you optimize for specific LLMs? For instance, I use Perplexity almost exclusively for search. One of the reasons is my understanding is it's around 87% accurate according to the charts out there. At least it was last week. Who knows what's going on today? Do you have the capability, Richard, of being able to AEO on a specific model?
Yes, and apologies for that. I'm pretty sure I sent you some emails, but I'll double check that. Sometimes the newsletters are dropped on the spam folder, and I'm still just promoting this to GoBrunch users. Of course, you should be one of the first to get know. All right, answer your question. Yes, right now we are working with three different AIs. The first one is ChatGPT. The second one is Perplexity. The third one is Gemini, which is becoming really big because of the AI mode that Google is providing, right? And you have these three models, and you can, once you do like a search, what happens is that you can choose which LLM that you want to get answers from. And after that, you can choose which LLM that you want to get recommendations to get ranked, right? To get recommended. And that's the way that you start working with that. It's really, really interesting. And I have been working, right? I'll just stop for now, but just a teaser. I've been working many different researches with my team because that helps our visibility as well. And we were able to find a lot of different patterns. with Perplexity, with ChatGPT, and I'm happy to share. But I'll get back to you if you have more questions and any kind of comments.
Well, I have a follow-up question, and actually, this is germane to our good friend Keith. And I was digging around a little bit in so the kind of a follow-on question is, can I do that specifically for a given platform? For example, the way Substack works, or well, specifically, well, it's going to be LLM specific, but can I tailor the AEO or GEO to specific platforms like LinkedIn, like Substack,
Um,
like YouTube?
the thing is, once you are chatting with Perplexity, let's say, right, as an example, there
Mhm.
is no way for you to filter unless you ask, right? Okay, filtering only answers from LinkedIn, which is not
Mm.
something that people do very often, right? That's why there's no option for you to filter this kind of things. But one idea that we are working on is specifically with Reddit, because keywords is something that you can fetch real data from Google and from Bing or whatever provider. They really you can get this. It's real data in terms of volume, in terms of difficulty. But when we move on to um, questions from AI, the AI providers, they don't allow us to know what people are asking, right? This is not something that is available, and we have to kind of make assumptions, say, hey, this is something that people are probably asking for. One of the ideas that I have is to instead of generate questions based on whatever AI thinks is the best questions, we can definitely search for questions on Reddit, right, which is a powerful forum, and this will provide you a more accurate ways for you to see what people are looking for. But once you see like the whatever SERP, right? And SERP is like, imagine the page that Google has with all the results. Once you see the SERP of the AI, you already see a light, you have an idea, okay, is this something that I fit in? Like, is this a place where my business should be win, or is super difficult, or is super saturated? And what happened is that the blue ocean strategy will help you to find that.
Yeah, I'd be interested, Richard. I think a challenge may be, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the challenge may be on the platform itself, meaning I may, I'm going to have to understand. I guess that my point is, I'm going to have to try to understand sort of how the LLMs are gathering that data. Meaning, for instance, LinkedIn. I didn't know this until recently. LinkedIn only pushes to search. Now I don't know if it's necessarily true of AIs, but it only pushes your articles. It doesn't push posts or comments. I think it will push articles. So in other words, and I'm assuming they're not opening. I guess my point is they're not opening to robot
Mhm.
or whatever, certain things. So I guess the question really becomes, I think what I'm trying to get at is you're going to have to see the behavior using your tool, and then figure out if there's a way to change or get to be able to be searched, because um, a lot of these tools now, of course, LinkedIn has its own tool now called 360 Brew, and that is its own AI apparently. So
Mhm.
from a internal perspective, is there any capabilities that you can in essence say, based on this tool, that I can have better reach via 360 Brew?
Yeah, the first question is that you have to define your strategy, which is which AI that you want to get recommended,
Mm, okay.
right? And as you mentioned, some of the AIs, and this is like politics, right? And it's out of our reach. But some AIs, they are not able to reach like a certain, I don't know, inside of LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is kind of, hey, you know what? You're not paying me. Why you're fetching? You're crawling my website, and giving for free, since if you're not paying me anything, right? Especially if this information is provided at the model level. But if it's provided at the source level, then it's a little bit better, because at least they have the link to click on, just like Perplexity, and get into LinkedIn, right? And then LinkedIn gets the traffic. That's your first question. If you want your content from LinkedIn to get recommended by AI, we have first to find which AI has no blocks, right? In terms of, as you mentioned, for fetching or for crawling. And probably Google is one of them, and probably Gemini, if I'm not wrong, but not sure about ChatGPT. ChatGPT really likes data, like scientific data or proprietary research, this kind of stuff. This is what ChatGPT usually prioritizes once it's showing like the list of answers. But depending, I say, hey, you know what? My idea is to generate content on LinkedIn. That means probably your best target is Google and Gemini.
That is so fascinating. Do you have some thoughts, Donna? I don't want to leave you out of here. We're going to move around. Any ideas for Richard, or how you're using it? What types of AI do you use, and do you think Richard's tool could help you there? What are you thinking, Donna?
Well, I learned something. Yeah, I'm here. I learned something because I had not heard the acronym SEO, IEO, AEO, artificial search optimization. I get it. It makes all the sense in the world. I had never heard that before.
Well, let me pick up on that. There's two of them. There's AEO, which is answer engine optimization, and that is for things like Alexa and Siri, for people that talk into their phone, like my wife, who says, "Can you give me a recipe for chocolate cake without sugar? Can you give me a recipe for hummus, please?" Oh, this happens every night. Like every night, Carol's got a phone next to the stove. "Can you give me a recipe for a really spicy tomato sauce with some chilies and a little bit of oil?" That's what I got in the fridge. Yeah, here's one. That's called answer engine optimization. Siri, Alexa, Google. The other one, GE, is for things like Perplexity, ChatGPT, and Gemini. I don't know this for sure, but those processes are different. Maybe people are Googling it on their, or looking for it on their PC or their laptop. It's more sort of based on that. So, yeah, we have a lot. We have a lot to talk about. It's very, very, very cool.
And I find Savannah Bay very interesting. I looked at the site, and it's enticing. It's something to consider. I guess the one thing that gives me pause is the lifetime license that is only for one brand. And I'm anything but just one brand. I'm a hybrid. So how does that come into play?
Yeah, you can scroll down, Donna. Yeah, scroll down, because there are more options.
Yeah, pick up on this, the lifetime deal, and what do you get? So Savannah Bay is a site that allows you to use that SEO. It's very cool, SEO, AEO. But let's talk about how it works, because Richard's not going to be here forever, and there's a lifetime deal. So what happens? It's a site, obviously, that you need to pay for, but what does it do, and what do you get?
Yeah, and thank you, Donna, for mentioning this. But the idea that I have, especially the audience that we have here, right? They are in general small entrepreneurs, like people who are starting their businesses, right? And this is the audience that we have in Go Brunch, and this is the audience that we are targeting with Savannah Bay, pretty much the same. And many of these folks, they don't want to be tied with monthly subscriptions. That's why we are offering a very attractive lifetime deal. There are 3 packages. There is one package that is the tier 1, which is for one brand. And there is a tier 2 for 5 brands and more credits. Credits are used for the AI generation, for the recommendations. And there is the lifetime tier 3, which is more suitable for if you want to offer the service as an agency. Let's say you have clients, you start liking and getting results, and say, yeah, I want to offer this to more people, to clients. And then we have a lifetime deal tier 3. right? And these are the three main more attractive deals that we have right now. And yeah, that's pretty much what we have. And one of the things that is very interesting about Savannah Bay that I have never seen before is there is a technology. And Keith, I think this is something that probably deserves one show just for talking about it. That is called MCP. I don't remember what does it mean, but it's something like protocol, P from protocol, MCP. And MCP is like when you are using Claude or ChatGPT or Perplexity and you are connecting to an external app. Now ChatGPT is calling these apps, right? Like they have a lot of apps. And then you connect with Photoshop. And then from ChatGPT, you say, oh, edit this photo here, change the background or do something. And then it changes for you, right? And
Modern
this is
modern context protocol.
perfect, perfect, perfect. And this is pretty much what you're gonna find in your if you connect with your ChatGPT with GoBrunch or Claude with GoBrunch with Savannah Bay. What happened is that you can fetch all the information from Savannah Bay, such as the keyword, such as the volume, and it already provides like 1,000 of recommendations in terms for you to write the article in the right way, right? There is a right way for you to write your article in terms of originality, right? You have to do like something like a unique angle. The AI will do like an interview with you, just like a podcast, right? And say, hey, people are searching for this. And Google or the AI is full of this content here. Now, let's chat here, Keith. Let's chat here because there is a huge opportunity that your content will stand out, but I need to understand better your point of view. I need to understand better your unique angle. And then it starts interviewing you and writing the content of whatever blog or Substack or whatever social media that you're writing for, and kind of crafting and doing everything together. And the end result is even like an HTML if you want to publish somewhere. This is something really, really cool.
Let me pick up on this. This is so important. Like, this is so important. The idea of AEO and GEO in the same idea of SEO is that there seems very, very, very little point in writing an article if no one reads it. Now, this is my number one pet hate. You go to all this trouble to write an article, no one reads it. And the reason they don't read it because they don't even find it. So if we have a tool that allows us to talk in the language that the search engines want, then we can have articles that will be found. Hello, Layla. I'll bring you in a minute. You've got something going on there. I might mute you. I'll bring you in a minute. But the idea that we can write articles and have them found just makes so much sense to me. And the reverse is just really silly. Why write an article and throw it into the world if no one reads it? It's just ridiculous. So, Richard, I want to give you the floor here, and then I'll bring Layla in because she's a newbie. We're talking about AEO and SEO from the point of view of what we now call a blue ocean strategy. Go first. Go somewhere that no one's going. Be first. Be confident. Be bold, because you're going to have it to yourself. Don't hang out where everyone else is, because that's a red ocean strategy and everyone's fighting for the crumbs. We want to talk about a blue ocean strategy. So keep this moving, Richard. This is very powerful stuff.
Oh, before we do that, I'm actually going to jump in, Keith, and pitch Savannah Bay for Richard. I actually plugged in my Substack article, and I got a score on Savannah Bay of 60 out of 100. And it's explaining why it's not higher. So I think people should really look at this, particularly if they haven't really looked at the subject of GEO or AEO. And the one thing I wanted to mention is that I would think a lot of people know 100% what SEO is. I think a lot fewer people know what AEO or GEO is. And then apparently Richard's team already has done some analysis on on what particular. I don't know which one, because I don't know if he's saying which LLM, but I think it's ChatGPT. But I actually did a search on this already, and so his tool is picking up, for instance, that it wants to use H2 instead of H1, and it tells me exactly what it has, what it's found. And in that case, I actually got 10 out of 10. But my point is, this tool is already working for people that want to look at, for instance, getting their Substack articles more visible.
I love this. And you're saying it. You think it'll work with Substack articles?
I plugged in my Substack article, so absolutely.
Wow. Because our Substack is just this killer site. That's how I met Donna. Are you using Substack, Richard? It's a killer site. 50 million users. 50 million users now. It's unbelievable. Like it's better than LinkedIn and WordPress and all of them. It's a miracle. Is there someone on your team using Substack, Richard?
No, we are not. Yeah. The thing is, the only Substack is a very interesting website because it's attracting a lot of creative people, right? And I think that's the way when you are starting something, because those are the folks who are probably promote, right? And that's why I think it's getting this amount of traction. But I'm not using very actively. I think one of the challenges, right, and I think this is a very interesting debate, is if you are generating content on Substack, you are not generating authority for your website, right? And this is a very, very, let's say, controversial discussion, because if you have a website and if you want more authority, you need to publish content inside of it and not outside of it. And if you rely on a social media, we never know what they are doing, right? Maybe tomorrow will be paid or something like that, as much as I don't think it's the case of Substack. But that's a very interesting discussion we can do at some point, right? Because it's a decision. Should I do like a newsletter on LinkedIn? Should I have a Substack page, or should I have everything on my website where Google can crawl and find me and I can offer my services? It's something, it's all different perspectives. They all work, but you have to make sure that you follow the right one.
And Richard, I'm going to quibble with you a little bit because the reason I'm quibbling is because Substack's the only tool that I'm aware of, the only platform that I'm aware of that, in essence, is incenting and supporting you in pushing your content to other platforms. So for instance, I've actually kind of gone on to Substack now to write my sort of more in-depth articles because I'm not getting exposure that I want out of LinkedIn, but Substack allows me to push to LinkedIn. So, I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to burn up a lot of bandwidth on this, but I think it's absolutely probably worth its own show relative to the power of Substack. I think Keith and I have kind of gone down this pretty deep down this rabbit hole, particularly as it relates to or is compared to LinkedIn. And then, like I said, it gives you the capability of pushing to YouTube and all these other platforms. So I think that's the one thing that, to me, differentiates Substack from a lot of these other platforms is.
But let's keep it moving. Layla is in the call. She loves Substack, and Donna is in the call, and she uses Substack. I'll start with Donna because she's been using it a while. Would you agree, Donna, that Substack is a very, very cool site for building your authority and writing cool articles and getting the word out? Tell us how you use Substack, because that's how we met.
Well, it's really kind of funny because I actually lost my entire list, technology issue in relationship to having I was changing over from Infusionsoft, previously known as Confusionsoft, and then Keep. I was leaving that and going over to Kit, which was ConvertKit at the time. And literally, after I downloaded a file of all my contacts, we had 2 Category 5 hurricanes in Florida. and literally electric was gone, and I didn't get back on the computer for 60 days. And I opened up the file and there was nothing in it. I had made a mistake. I went back to keep and they said, I'm sorry, but it doesn't exist anymore. It's completely deleted after 60 days. And I said, well, okay, let's look at the joy in that. So I went over to Substack and I said, let me just start reading stuff. And before I ever published, I actually had 75 subscribers. And they kept saying, Donna, publish. And I was publishing Poker's Life Lessons. And in the middle of another hurricane, I actually published. And I've got just a little under 1,000 subscribers in a little over a year. But more importantly, they're loyal. In relationship to having paid subscribers, not as much, but I do talk about things that I have off the site, and people say, hey, I want that. So it is, I have a website, a name site. I have several other websites, but I really thought that Substack is different. It's different than other platforms I've been on because when somebody subscribes, you get their email, which is most unusual. And it's a hybrid model because it becomes your email system. It will email for you. It will host videos for you. It'll host a podcast for you. So it's a powerful, powerful platform. And one of the things I like to say to Richard, is he still here or did he go away? Did he leave?
Go. Yeah, he had to go.
Oh, that's too bad because I want you to put me in contact with him because what I wanted to tell him was that I would be willing to invest in the highest lifetime license if I was able to get in the site and he would show me exactly what it does, because these sites are built more for millennials and understanding sites. I'm technically savvy, but when it comes to learning a new site, I want someone to take me by the hand and show me how to do it.
Oh, you are so right. Aren't you so right? I mean, they're all built by nerds who think, well, this can't be that hard. Just click this button, lady. Okay, why aren't you getting this? I don't understand. Well, you don't understand. Well, bloody hell, you're 25. You never had a job. You're still living at home. You have got no idea about the real world. And I'm saying that is a guy in his 50s. I get it. They just treat us like slop.
I'm 3 times that, but and I really like new things. I like to discover things, but in relationship to it, there has to be very simple to understand tutorials. It has to, if you give somebody a book that says, read the manual, RTM, read the manual. The manuals are now 2-point type, and you would have to get a microscope out to be able to read them, but they don't make any sense. They're actually written by really stupid artificial intelligence, or some people that don't understand how to speak English. But nonetheless, if I'm just saying, get the word to him to contact me, and if he's willing to. When I got my first computer, it was 1985, and the computers in those days, it was the floppy disks, and there was no hard drives, and the computer, the bare minimum computer, were $10,000, and I said, and the amount of that they could hold was so tiny. It was funny looking back at it. I mean, our phones today, would just overshadow them. But I contacted companies and I said, rent me a computer for 2 weeks, and I want to hire a trainer for 2 weeks. If at the end of 2 weeks I can do this and I understand it, I'll buy the computer. I'll write you a check. And that's kind of sort of what I want in relationship to Savannah Bay.
It's got a good idea, but yes, and Richard has a team, and I will contact him about this.
Thank you.
Well, I've got a couple of things going on here. One is Liz, who's in Austin, Texas, and a good friend of mine now from down that way. If I'm not sort of going in a bit early, has got a question. she uses Substack, I'm guessing, and she says, "Do you have a newsletter and a Substack, or just Substack?" So, do you just use Substack, or do you attach it to a newsletter as well, Mike? Is that what you're doing? I think that's what the question is.
I have 5 newsletters slash Substacks. My Substacks are newsletters. Some are more consistent with what you would call a newsletter. I'm writing, for instance, I have, for lack of a better word, my deep thoughts newsletter. um, and I'll post on LinkedIn my Substack, my main Substack page. But yeah, I'm working on about 5 of them. I do have to sort of settle on where I'm going to put you know most of my energy. But I don't know if either of the ladies are doing this, but I'm actually using one of them as sort of a landing page for the what I'm calling a bespoke musica, which is where I'm actually writing uh, bespoke tracks or custom tracks for either podcasters or events or what have you. And I've written a number of birthday songs. I've written some song intros and outros. uh, Unlike Keith, I am not writing an intro or outro for them for every show, which is something you can absolutely do with Suno. But Suno has just opened up, I think, a just a massive way of being able to write custom tracks for all manner of reasons and use cases.
You want to pick up on that, Donna? I haven't forgotten about you, Lola, but I know earlier in the show, Donna, you said you wanted to talk to Mike about music. I use Suno. I love it. Mike's doing it now for for a hobby. I'm doing it as a hobby. Mike wants to turn it into an income. So jump in and ask Mike any questions you have because he's bloody good at this. So let me know what you think.
Well, Mike, actually, I had written, I was writing a journaling, and I ended up with a poem, which actually I didn't intend for it to be a poem, but I started reading. I said, "Oh my God, this is a rap," and I'm going, I really needed to have some music behind it. And that's what I like to do. It has to do with mind shifting. And so I didn't know where to get that. And so I guess you're the person that I need to talk to in relationship to that.
I'm happy to set up some time for you to work with you on that. And if you're going to do this on the regular, obviously I would suggest signing up to Suno. But and there are, just a heads up, there are some issues with uh, labels and lawsuits. I think that's going to mostly be resolved in 2026. And again, there are certain things you can do to protect yourself, including making sure that your lyrics, which is what I'm doing. I write all my lyrics. I don't have Suno do any of that. And then I'm actually, for lack of a better word, actually doing production of each song too. So one of the things that we'll talk about is, okay, what what's the, for lack of a better word, what's the use of this track, what's your target audience and so forth. And then, because one of the things I really try to focus on is I want the lyrics to match the music. Meaning, if I'm going to do a rap, and again, I don't know if this is your intended audience, but if I'm trying to reach more of an urban audience, or a specific population segment, then I'm actually going to change the lyrics to match that. And you can still have any poem or any lyrics that you want. I just find that when I'm doing these things, it pulls at the heartstrings more if you are able to match. And an example of that was, I wrote a birthday song for someone that Keith and I both know, Felipe, and he has I think it's Cuban heritage. So I wrote a song with the Spanish flair, or Cuban flair. and he and his family really enjoyed that. So it's something to kind of keep in the back of your head as to what, when you're doing songwriting or lyrics, because writing poetry, because I am a poet as well, writing poetry is somewhat different than writing lyrics.
Yeah, I
Well,
would
and I had no idea that I was actually writing a song or a poem. I didn't know what to call it. I was journaling and I went, "Oh my God, this is a song lyric." And relationship to, what's the demographics? It's to people that really want to change their mindset, that want to change. It's more of a category for self-improvement and actualization. So I don't know what that reads in relationship to the demographics as far as
Yeah.
a song is
I
concerned.
can't wait. Can't wait to do a follow-up show to hear that the lyrics that you've written have been created with a rap by Mike, and you can come back and you can tell us, you can work us through it. Because
I'm more than happy to do that, Keith. I mean, this is to be frank, this is what I find so exciting about Restream and our community. Is this connection. Whether it's via Substack or wherever we're making that connection, and then being able to do live shows where we can actually obviously take this offline, but then give back to the public on this is how you collab.
yeah, and picking up on the Substack thing, I just want to pick up on, this is one of the things I love about Restream. And hello again, Liz in Austin, Texas. Liz has got a question. She may not be able to call in, but she can write a comment on LinkedIn and or YouTube. And the question is, I have Kit as an email blast newsletter, but was considering adding Substack for more audience growth. And I was curious if you just had Substack only, etc. So Kit, which was called Convert Kit, is a great little email marketing strategy. And please, Layla, hang with me. I haven't forgotten about you. It's a busy day. But Substack is another variation. Most of my views of my articles come from the emails that I get. So let's pick up on this. Do you use ConvertKit still, Donna, or are you only using Substack now, or do you use a combo?
Oh, I absolutely use Kit, even after the fact that I lost my email list a year and a half ago. I said, I'll build it. And actually, I build it through Substack. And I use Kit when somebody wants to do, I'm doing a class right now on poker demystified. It's like the simplification of poker, because it's a mental game. People think it's all numbers, but it's not. It is backed by mental and the mind game. And that's what I do, the mind game. So people and they go to my website and I have a landing page there, use WooCommerce. When they invest in it there, they go into the Kit. So I have both of them working. And I think that it might be within 5 to 7 years, standard websites will be obsolete. But I still think it's important to build with Substack, with Kit, with your website. And some people use just Substack and then they do something like Sam's Card or Thrive or one of the other that basically is the checkout. But I really think it's important to build your authority on a site today, even though my name site is new and it's much newer than my older site, biggirlpoker.com. I'm the big girl of poker because I'm 6 feet 5 inches tall, and I garnered that brand when I started as a journalist. So you just dumped Kit. Yeah, Substack is free. That's right, and I love that fact. But right now, I think I'm a hybrid, and I enjoy both of them. Kit's pretty easy to use, and so that was the lady from Austin, Texas. Did I hear? What was that? Liz?
So Shadows Pub is in Canada, in Ontario. On the other side of, and this is a great segue, Layla. Let's bring you in. You've been waiting patiently. Hello.
Hi, Layla from Vancouver.
And we have a winner. No, we've jumped all over the shop today, and I apologize. We can have up to 8 people on the call. And Mike and I were talking yesterday about just how hard it is to manage these shows when you've got comments and guests. So thank you so much for waiting. I'm really, really interested in how you use AI in your daily life, whether you use an email provider or whether you're using Substack. Tell us where you are in that journey, and let's learn from you as well.
Sounds good. So I would say no worries for being patient. Listening is learning. So I've learned a lot listening to those conversations. And yeah, AI SEO. So lately I've been also writing a couple articles in magazines that are actually published. And, you know, they also put an emphasis of like using AI because their readers go in those platforms and they search about whatever they're looking for. I want an article about this. And then those platforms will provide you suggestions, links to click, and it'll give you exactly what you're looking for compared to just a Google search. And by using Substack, which is on my day 6, okay, so I'm still learning, it's still new to me, and I was able to link some of my articles that I wrote recently for a couple of magazines that have been published, and I think that's also gave me an opportunity to be to reach a different audience and to write something about more that I'm interested in. And I will add, and I don't know if you know this, but ChatGPT has also a business section where, as a small business owner or any business, you can fill up a form, it's free. And if you're accepted, and I've been waiting for months, so I don't know what's happening there. Then if somebody search for, let's say in my case, I make handmade products for, you know, for like creating a home spa experience. So bath bombs, bath salt, soaps, you know, that kind of things. People will go into platform search, I'm looking for handmade products made in Vancouver. And then they will actually feature you because you are in their platform. And then it will provide a link and pictures of the of your products and a description of it. And people click on it, and then you gain some customers through their platform.
It's just
Has anyone heard about it?
heard about what specifically are we chatting about right now? The idea that ChatGPT has a business section.
Yeah, so that increase your AI SEO, because if somebody's looking for a product or service, they'll go and search for it in the platform. And because you have filled some form that showcase your business specifically within ChatGPT, if somebody's looking for your product is going to be showcased immediately because you're part of their platform. They're selling those subscriptions for people. They're selling you those subscriptions. Some people pay like $30-$40 a month to have like a better options and research strategies. So by showcasing businesses in there, they added in value to making you buy their subscription. So for having you filling up those forms and that your business is in ChatGPT itself, they promote you. So when somebody search, they'll find you quicker.
Yeah, let's pick up on this. This is there are so many options now that really we have to focus. I've decided I'm doing LinkedIn, YouTube, and Substack. There's hundreds of others. I was doing Discord. It didn't work for me. I was doing Twitter and then it became X, really pissed me off. I tried Blue Sky, but it was just another thing to do. So there's a lot going on here and there's no wrong or right answer, but I want to pick up on Substack because I think it is the pick of the bunch. Now, I love Substack. I love it. I've only been on it since September, but it's absolutely, my favorite thing. You can have subscribers and you can have followers. Subscribers get an email every time you post. You've done a post, your subscribers get it. And most of my views come from email. Right? Followers don't get the emails, but they still get your notes, which are like little tweets. And you can manipulate, if that's the right word, you can post things in that very casual format and people get it. I personally can't see the point of paying for an email service now because Substack is so good, like so good. Would you agree, Layla? It's just a game changer, isn't it?
It totally is. And I'm actually wondering, because maybe somebody can answer these questions. I have like maybe 9 subscribers. When you actually send or write an article, does it only go to these subscribers or does it actually go to a wider group of people that you don't know of?
No. When you write a post, it only goes to your subscribers, which is why it's important to have subscribers. That's all that happens. They get it. But also, and this is what we're chatting about today, people generically can find that material if you write it well. So someone on Google might say, have you got an article about how to improve my sound in my next podcast? If I write that article right, it will get found because it's an open network. So I have 125 subscribers, and every time I do a post, they get that post. Hey, here's a new article from Keith. Oh, well, he wrote one yesterday and the day before. God, he's busy. He's bloody busy. Yeah, well, he is busy, but read this one. There's some pretty pictures in there too. So it's a lovely little visual reference, and a lot of people click on it.
Keith, I don't know if you know, if you write a note, that goes out into the general population. So usually they're asking you, or one of the processes of publishing is to write a note. And so when you write a note, I'm not sure exactly how that gets searched, but my understanding is they're really pushing notes.
Yeah, they are pushing notes. Yeah.
So that's one way non-subscribers can find out. The other thing I mentioned, I think, is that for your subscribers, you can post I don't know why you'd want to do this if you're trying to get it out to your subscribers, but you can post an article without sending an email. There's a button or whatever, again, as part of the process, that you can turn off that sending email. Yeah, I don't know why you'd want to, but
well, here's an angle. Here's an angle. No, probably no one knows how to do this yet. It's brand new. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But this is a note. This is what a note looks like on Substack. Now, you can write another note that just says, hey, guess what? I just went to the shops and I got an ice cream and it's so yummy. Right? You can write a note like that. Or here's a picture of me at the beach. Or it's like a tweet. Here's me. I just had a thought. Don't you hate winter? And people write these little ridiculous notes. Don't you hate winter? And they get like 99 clicks. Oh, man, it's so cold. Isn't it so cold? Right? I mean, you can do that if you want. Innocuous little nothing notes. But what you can do, this is so clever. Once you've written an article, and this particular article's had 225 views as a result of these strategies, you can actually click on the link inside it and it'll create a note. Now, let me be very clear. When you have subscribers, they get an email about your posts. Your followers do not. But when you write a note, which is like a tweet, everyone gets it. Everyone on Substack has the opportunity to see it amongst the other millions of things that are there. So if you can do a combination of posting and noting, if I just made up a word, you can actually get maximum reach. So what I've decided to do, and if you look at my Substack, this is exactly what I do. I do a post and then I do one of these notes, which is like a highlight, one little phrase. People just don't want to consume content anymore. They want to be part of the conversation. Now, this is a trend. Like, this is making this up. People are sick and tired of being a passive consumer of content. The general population wants to be involved. I do. And the people I know want to be involved. I don't want to just sit there and listen to you speak. I want to be asking questions and be part of the conversation. Would you agree with that? Let's pick up on this idea. Do you agree with this synopsis that people want to be part of the conversation, or did I just make that up? What do you think, Donna? Donna's I'll be back in a minute. What about you, Layla? Do you want to be part of the conversation, or do you just post into the void, and do you just consume content silently? Are you a bit of a
absolutely. I think that watching all these videos, listening to people and things like that, it's like sometimes you just want to contribute in a different way and kind of bring your voice to it and say, hey, but this is how I feel about it, this is what I think about, and that just creates a good conversation. You learn a bit more about it, and it also creates a bit more sense of community. Like, you're not just by yourself there, like you're part of something, which makes it way more interesting, really.
Yeah, and we'll talk about school in this regard when America comes on here in a few minutes. We'll talk about school, which takes this up a notch again. But would you agree, Mike, that people want to be part of the conversation, or are you a passive listener or a passive creator? What do you think?
You probably picked one of the main things that I'm passionate about, and that is community. And I kind of harp on you and Americo and others about that. How you interact with your audience. Now, obviously, it depends on what your product is. You know, if you are, and we talked a little bit about this last night. If your product is more a monologue, or if you're teaching, so if you're just doing a webinar or whatever, I would argue even in a webinar, you still want some, interaction because, and I forget what the stat is, but actually I was on a call this morning about this, is that when you are having your audience interact, the chance of them remembering not just the information, but you are X amount higher. So I think it's really important to at least think about that and see where you are in your product cycle, and what makes what are you passionate about? I am, yeah, and it's almost regardless of the subject for me. I'm very passionate about community.
Yeah. We chatted yesterday that if you're not into having a chat, then you might as well just record it and put it on Spotify.
Yeah.
Because what is the point of this monologue in real time? You might as well just put it on Spotify, because you're not listening and you're not reading the comments, you're not participating with the group. It's just a waste of time. Now, I've got very clear views on that, obviously, but I just cannot see the point of doing a monologue and not reading the comments. You might as well just record it, put it on a favorite podcast system, and then you're done. I mean,
Well, to your point, to your point, Keith. Like, I know Joe Rogan does not now, or I'm pretty sure he doesn't read his comments, but he also has millions of dollars and has millions and millions of listeners. So at some point, there's a scale issue. Obviously I don't think Joe or probably a team of people could respond to his comments, right? So there's some scale issues right here, right? But again, if I scale, I scale. If I don't, I don't, and I'll deal with that when it happens. But I would think, and like I said, this is kind of regardless of whatever subject I'm talking about, whether it's music or tech, AI. I'm just passionate about talking with other people about it. So I don't know how, me personally, I don't know how I would interact in a space where I can't do that.
yeah, I just love this. Now, jump in, Donna, when you can. But what do you think, Leila? We'll bring America in soon. I think we've reached a sort of a new level, and I'm very, very, very impatient when I go to a show and I sit through a 45-minute spiel, and then they don't ask for questions. Like, I don't go to those shows anymore. Because I mean, if I just listen to someone talking for 45 minutes, well, I could have just watched that on YouTube. I could have just done that in my own time. Why do I have to turn up at 10 o'clock on a Friday morning to watch that? But the interaction is the essence. It's the hook. It's the point. And if you're not interacting, then why are you going live? It's a big question. What do you think, Layla? Am I pushing the envelope a bit, or do you think there's some value there?
I think there is. I mean, like, we all don't want to be sitting like almost like sitting in a classroom listening to a lecture from a professor for like 2 hours, right? So definitely having a bit more interactive, it kind of changed the pace a little bit. You feel more engaged, you're more interested, and it kind of breaks that monologue for a long time that some people have short attention span, right? You can't just listen forever and forever, and some people are really good at it. So I do agree with you that it's a good option and opportunity to have, and I think more and more people are gravitating towards that.
I want to pick up on Shadow's comments. The concept of notes is, of course, not very new. It's one of the almost original ideas. It's been around since April 2023. I didn't know it was that old, but apparently that's when it was invented. And Substack itself has been around since 2017. So it's not a new site. But because I'm not a writer and I'm not a reader, I'll talk about this in a minute because I use AI every day for this. I never considered Substack as even an option because it was for writers who want to write and for people that want to read what people have written, none of which applies to me because I don't read anything. I just listen to things and watch TV. And otherwise, I'm just doing what I'm told. So Substack didn't appeal to me at all. But Notes is this little thing like a tweet where you can just say innocuous things. Hey, guess what? Going to the beach today. Here's a picture of a volleyball. See you later. This is what some of these notes are like. They're just rubbish to me, like tweets were. But everyone sees those. So what I'd really like to know, because I think everyone here is using Substack, how are you using the notes feature and how are you using the posts feature and how do they differ and what have you noticed? What do you think? You go first, Layla, because you're right. You're brand new at it. What are you doing with Substack?
I'm actually, what I'm doing a bit most is commenting on others, just to, be part of their conversation and learning what they're doing. And then later on, I see them, they comment back on what I write, which is interesting. So, because I'm still new, I'm still learning. So I do write a few notes here and there, but I'm mostly commenting on others. Does that make sense? And then, I don't know.
We'll pick up on this when Americo joins because he has a school community which is all based on engagement in either commenting or liking. That there's a whole gamification play going there, but I'll wait for Americo to join. School, SKOOL. It's his site. It's not my site. His community. I don't have one. I'm part of his, and you are too. And you're number one on the leaderboard. Number one with a bullet.
I know, and I just joined like recently, right? Like just like 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago.
No,
Imagine.
And that's because school rewards engagement and you are engaging. You're liking, you're commenting, and you're really a team player. And school rewards that in a gamification strategy. Mike, you've seen school working periodically. What do you think of school compared to Substack? It's a very different strategy. Like I personally don't like commenting in the open, and school rewards that and disincentivizes us to do DMs. What do you think of school, Mike?
Well, we had a discussion, a little bit, a shorter discussion about this last night. And by and large, school is private, meaning when you have a community, by default, it sets it as a private community. So my understanding is that your comment, whatever activity you're doing inside the community is hidden, for lack of a better word, from the public, unless of course the creator decides to make it public. And there are reasons not to have a public community. You want to have a safe space, for instance, or if you want to have sort of a walled garden for your service, or you're encouraging people, to the top of funnel, and so you don't really necessarily want everyone to have access. That's number one. Number two, I think they're it's sort of a different mode of operation. For me, I'm gonna cringe a little bit when I say this, but while you're rewarding, or I should say, while Substack is rewarding you as a content creator, um, right. Uh, while Substack is rewarding you as its end game, so to speak, is to have a walled garden, aka paid subscribers, as well. But if you look at how notes are used, and if I remember correctly, and you can correct me, Keith, on this, when you restack, if I remember, it becomes a note. And as Shadow was saying before, I think yes, notes existed, but my understanding was in December, I think of 25, or sometime late in the year of 25, there was a conference, and the Substack team had mentioned that they were really, I guess, cranking up, for lack of a better word, the rewards on notes. So while the notes may have been a thing, I don't know because that predates me, but my sense is that Substack kind of cranked up the visibility of things based on notes.
Yeah. So we're having a really, really good discussion about school versus Substack. Donna's back. And to Shadow's point, you comment in the you talk in the open. Why not comment in the open? Like, my grammar is so bad. Like, I'm so embarrassed by how I write. I'm always getting there and there and there wrong. You know, I'm always getting my context incorrect. Like, I'm always making spelling errors, and maybe who cares about that? But I care because I feel stupid. So I don't like to write. I just don't like to write. And I don't like to comment. I love DMs. I love DMs. And I get into trouble for that. And I've been banned from LinkedIn for several times for doing this. But anyway, that's my story. But what we're doing was we're comparing Substack to school. Now, you made a very, very good point, and I have to agree with you here, Donna. Substack is a private community. School is a private community too. School is more private than Substack because it can be open, but it can get bloody noisy in there. School, but commenting, "Hey Keith, how you doing? Good. How you doing? Good. What have you been doing? Nothing. What have you been doing? Nothing." Okay, that's 4 comments, and we didn't actually say anything. Like, is this what you're saying? School's very noisy. There's just a lot of noise. What are you thinking, Donna? Have we got you there? I'll hold that thought. Substack versus.
Yes, I'm here. I was just eating a cracker.
Noisy. School is very noisy. Yeah? Is that your thinking?
Yeah, and people will start. It's kind of like looking at Facebook Messenger. If you get a group on Facebook Messenger, it's like, holy crap. It's like I am not in one for a day and a half, and I open it up and there's 623 messages in there. And I'm going, oh, that's ridiculous. And now, granted, School, SKOOL, has more ways that you can make tabs and kind of sort of mini classrooms where people can talk about things. But it's still tough to get around. And Circle is another one that's very difficult to maneuver. Discord, by the way, is one. I thought, how in the world would they name it Discord?
Isn't it a stupid name, isn't it? Like, I mean, I've had people actually comment, mate, I'm not joining Discord because why would I go into a group that promotes Discord?
Exactly.
It's a stupid name. But anyway, it's very popular. 150 million users, and there's people in this call that are very passionate Discord users. So I can't say too much, but I have used it, and my project was very disappointing, and I don't use it anymore. And I couldn't get people to join the group. Whereas School, which I'm going to get Americo to talk about, is a wonderful site, not free though. And I think Substack's still the best. But I want to give everyone a chance to talk about the various ones. While we're bringing Americo in, do you want to set the scene, Layla, and tell us what you love about School? It's pretty cool. It's one of the options. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's actually really good. I have to say, I find community in there. I find support. I find opportunities. The conversation are interesting. People are commenting, like some real comments, like there's depth to it. People are having real conversations. Like, we share things, we share projects. Like Americo, played the music that our fellow friend here created, right? But I wouldn't find out about it if I wouldn't be in that community. So there's a lot of things that are being shared that has so much value, and people are supporting each other. And I find it better than Facebook or Instagram, where I guess you get booted out for nothing, or saying things that, I don't know why you get booted out. Sometimes people don't say anything wrong and then they get reported. In School community, it's a bit safer space, and it's people that are like-minded. So it's you're passionate about this area or a topic, and you meet people just like yourself. So the conversation flows, and I think that's what's great about it.
They're both good, and if you haven't tried either, they're both good. School,
Keith,
yeah. Hang on, let me just finish this.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Just finish this thought. School is very private, and it's based on building a community. It can be public, but it's not. That's not what it's famous for. It's not free. There's a $9 version and a $99 version, but it builds a community. Very cost-effective version of, because there's others that have a much higher price point. But Substack is free to use, and they charge you 10% of what you make, if you make money, and you can use it as a hobby. And it's open, and it's designed more as an open source strategy. I love them both, and I'm going to bring in Americo to talk about that. But back to you, Mike. You had some thoughts?
Yeah, about the noisiness. When you're incenting people to engage, and again, I'm not 100% clear on exactly how they're doing that in school, but if I'm incenting you and if I'm gamifying, interaction and particularly liking, then of course, I would love to be at the top of the leaderboard. So, you're kind of encouraging that behavior. I think as the community settles down and matures and scales, I think over time, and America obviously has some control over that. That it'll settle down. I think, and it kind of self-regulates. I think after a while, because people will lose interest in that kind of behavior. So then people are going to have to switch to sort of more meaningful, commenting and liking. So it becomes kind of for lack of a better word, more of a truer test of you as a community member. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Now this is how the leaderboard gamification is a very fundamental strategy in the 2020s. Probably invented a long time before that, but in the 2020s, a lot of sites are basing this on gamification. And as you can see, at this particular time, 2 weeks ago, I was a silver medalist on school on all levels, 7 days, 30 days, all time. Now, this is incredibly difficult to maintain, and we've had several members join, and some of them have sort of gazumped me. But it's a game. Suddenly engagement becomes a game. It's fun to use. Now, this is a very good place to bring Americo in because we've got stats on this. So tell us how you're using School, Americo, and welcome to the call, and tell us about how people can join your school community. It's pretty funky.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing me up on stage. Listen, it's been, I'd say, 5 weeks into my school journey. And yes, everything that I've been hearing and listening on the show in terms of engagement, in terms of the gamification, yes, it can get noisy, there's no doubt. But here's what I start to realize and learn. There are settings that I have control as admin, which I will start to look at and consider, just so I'm not losing engagement or losing interest from my community. I can set notifications to go out weekly, change the pattern in which notifications occur. The classroom itself, I've moved classrooms to unlock at certain levels so that I know that those are engaged are going to get the most out of it, so that I don't front load everything at a level 1 and just give away the farm and all the resources in the library. But more importantly, what gamification does for me as a admin in my school community, it opens my eyes and helps me understand where my community prefer to consume their content. So just like any other social media platform, we have our lurkers who come in just to listen, just to read, and they have no interest in participating. So, but where do they hang out? They're level 1, and they just want to consume, they just want to read. So it's important for me to keep those community members inside my echo chamber and that ecosystem to provide value in my posts and in my comments. So it's important to me. Today, we're seeing a lot of emojis flying around, but that'll, to Mike's point, that'll simmer down, and I want it to be value-driven, purpose-driven. So where the intent and the impact come together and meet. Because if we let this get out of control, and I'll use LinkedIn as the example, as much as we want to be supportive of one another, if I look at business pages, newsletters that I have followed over the years, I had thousands of newsletters that would just inundate my email box that never got read and would just get bulk deleted. So it's important that we don't fall into the same trap here in school where we think, I'm going to follow everyone's community, engage there in hopes that I'll get community members migrate over to my school. It's important that you align yourself with like-minded people and you're not just chasing vanity. Because if you get into that vanity metrics or matrix, then it's all for naught. You're wasting your money. You've lost the sense of community, and you're now just throwing money at vanity.
I love what you're saying here because you're using both Substack and school. So you have a very unique position on both. I'll bring up the Substack stats in a minute because they're quite similar. But tell me about how this graph here with your stats, you get a very clear sense of where your community is, which helps you define the content you do. Because most of them are in North America, which means they're in your time zone. Yeah.
So you get to understand the time zones that you're in, and you get to understand the geographical areas that you're in, and what comes along with those different geographical regions. You get cultural differences, you get political differences, and you can tailor your events to those particular regions because of how those cultures may respond. But you can also use it to your advantage to learn, hey, I have the bulk of my community is in North America, but I'm fascinated and I want to know how things are done in the UK, and are there best practices being exhibited in the UK that work there that we can introduce or try and test. And you and I, we both love testing, and having line of sight to where people are, being able to visualize without having to scroll through all my contacts and try to figure out where they are. I can now hover over my map and it'll tell me who's in that particular region. I can DM them, I can create a separate event just for them, collect some insights. So it's got an astounding amount of purpose, and it's not just the gamification. I'm just over the moon with the capabilities that the hobbyist plan still provides.
I want to pick up with on America's use of both school and Substack, because I do feel that I'm going to be bold a little bit, and I'm not saying there's no community in Substack, but that's not really its strong point. So I believe he's really making a smart move in doing both. And I did want to pick up, I had forgotten to mention it before, but I think these community-based platforms really allow you to track or feedback. So if you're not, for instance, we talked a little bit about this, Americo, I think last night. If you're not commenting, sort of follow up, on Team Replay or whatever, and if you're not really understanding where your audience is, I think you're going to drift or sort of start to stagnate. So I think actually both, but I think school certainly is a way. Because of that fast, rapid feedback mechanism in the comments, that you can really understand, where your audience is.
This is how Substack does it. Slightly different idea, but still the same. 75 members, 60% of my members are in the US, 10% in Canada. That's 68% in North America compared to 10% in the country that I live. 10% in Australia. Now, if I wanted to, I could drill down and make that a sort of a city, but it's pretty interesting. It's like 7-1. So I've got to focus on the North American sort of mindset, because that's where all the people are. And that would be the same with you, America, isn't it? Look what all those people in America and the American area compared to four people in UK. I'm probably the only person in Australia. You got a few people there, probably in Bali or Vietnam or Thailand, maybe. So it's very good, because there's you've only got so much time in the day. Bloody brilliant.
Yeah, and let me tell you, just to piggyback on the Substack part of this conversation, and I know I was listening from the beginning of the show. Donna has maybe dislike is a little strong, but has a strong opinion of the word overwhelm. But that's the premise of my community. There are so many entrepreneurs, creators, business owners who are overwhelmed with social media marketing, with a live content strategy, and they feel overwhelmed. And I felt that there's a gap that I could provide value and help close and help people kind of ease off that overwhelming feeling and help them provide a safe place where they can build a stage of their own. Now, is the intention to monetize this at some point? Absolutely. There's no sugarcoating it. But there will always be a free component where I want to add value, answer the questions for those who just want to learn. And I'm demonstrating this in real time with my social media footprint. I'll take what I create in terms of my shows, which are now my marketing funnel. I demonstrate the impact of going live. I demonstrate the impact of engagement. I'm demonstrating, planning, promoting, and engagement through the two shows that I host. I then demonstrate the art of repurposing. I am meeting community members who consume content through the written word by providing blogs and summaries. Hey, here's what you missed on our show last night. And I'll put some teasers, I'll dangle something that may pique the curiosity of the reader, enough to want to listen to the replay, or I might just provide enough in a written summary and captured a content consumer in a place that they wouldn't otherwise be present, which is my live stream. And then when you take YouTube, which is the other end of the strategy, there are those who prefer the snappy, short content. And I'm now creating shorts that circle back to the replays and leveraging the on-demand content and trying to tie it all together, bring it all together, and have both YouTube, my lives, and my Substack pointing people towards my school. So the entire ecosystem kind of points to each other, and it's a living, breathing living example with those who work with me or seek out support. I get to point them, hey, here, go see an example, or go read an example of how I repurposed this particular show, or go take a look at how I'm leveraging shorts to bring people back to drive views on YouTube.
I love this because I'm going to bring in a graphic about funnels. You need about 2 or 3 shows, 2 or 3 concepts, because the top of the funnel, it just gets your attention. It doesn't actually convert, if that's the right word. And the bottom of the funnel is too deep for people. People aren't going to marry you if they've met you unless you're watching a show called Married at First Sight. People aren't going to marry you, buy your stuff, if they've never heard of you. So there's a concept of a funnel, and that funnel is that about you advertise to about 1,000 people. This is a very good one. Sorry for taking so long to find it. This is a very good example of what we talk about almost every day. I sent 1,000 invitations on LinkedIn. You can do this about once a week. I sent 1,000 invitations to my followers. I've got 22,000 of them now, so I just picked a handful relatively. 100 of them say, yeah, I'll come. Yeah. I'm going to come, Keith. I like this idea. 10 of them come. That's the deal. You send 1,000 invitations, 100 people say they'll come, 10 people actually come. So you've got to have a three-tiered strategy. Substack might be the top of the funnel. School might be bottom of the funnel. It probably is the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel is let's ring me and we'll work together. And I'm guessing this is where you're going with this, America, because you're offering a done-for-you service, like a really bespoke, pardon the pun, service. Where
That's right.
You work with them by themselves, not as a group, but with them. Tell us how are you using this funnel? Let's have a chat about funnel.
Yeah, so I want to be able to help respond to the pain points that my community members are bringing in. And the two biggest pain points, well, it's actually broken down into 4 words, but I've categorized it in 2 sections. There's the promoting and the engagement. They want to do it. Some are already doing it, but struggling to get engagement, struggling to get people to show up. So it's really about helping them appreciate the importance of that long tail. You can't just decide, you wake up this morning and say, I'm going to go live this afternoon and schedule an event and expect everyone to drop what they're doing to attend your live. Life gets in the way. No one's going to show up if you don't give it enough time to play itself out. And that's what I'm essentially doing for myself and demonstrating. Kind of lost my train of thought here.
I love this idea. I want to have a chat about funnels. Funnels are a fun in everything we do, whether it's for business or for pleasure. Everything's got a funnel. You know, there's an end game. Unless, look, I don't know if you want to do this, but you just wake up one day and go, oh, let's just see what happens. I'm not a see what happens type of guy. I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And I do it. I plan ahead. And a funnel is a way of planning ahead. How do you use a funnel, Donna? Have you heard of this concept of sort of a 3-tiered approach where not everyone that hears about you is going to buy your stuff, right? What do you think, Donna? Have you got
exactly?
A
and I actually I've got several funnels. Most of them are time sensitive and exactly what type of funnel I want to go forward with. And I'm testing. Oh, you're like, there I am. How about that? I just figured out how. And I'm figuring out exactly I want to go forward. You know, what is it that I really love doing? And from that will be, I want to get to the point where I have one specific funnel. Listen to me. It's kind of like America was talking about. And it, you know, that's exactly what it is. Everything is a funnel. I mean, sales is just a conversation, and so is relationship. And if you meet somebody in a bar, well, maybe in a bar you could say, hey, let's go to bed, but that's not how it works. But if you really want, you know, if you're out there in the online community, there's so much out there. It's important that you offer benefits in a way that people crave without you saying, go buy my stuff. And a lot of people just don't understand that. They have to create that need in a way that is good for everybody. So it's just psychology. And America, I really like what you do, by the way.
Thank you.
Very, 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 very cool. We got quite a lot of listeners today. For instance, we've had listeners in Florida, and there's someone calling in from St. Petersburg, Florida. So hello there. And we had people calling in from Brazil. We've got people listening in from Kingston, Ontario, and several other smaller towns in Ontario. We've got people calling in from Toronto, New York, Vancouver. I'm in Melbourne, Australia. And so this is what we do. This is the whole essence. And hello to my friend Liz in Austin, Texas, who's watching her daughter's volleyball game. So, this is what we do. I could go into the city and talk to real people, but it's an hour away. I would much prefer to do this online. Layla, do you understand the concept of a funnel? Can you work us through how you do your funnel? Because I know you sell some products there. How do you get people interested in what you do, and what's your funnel?
That's a great question. So it's, for me, it's also, everybody has a different way of managing it. And it's building relationships. People understand what I offer, differentiate yourself. And for me, some posts, because I do wholesale, mostly a lot more, through my social media, it does bring the traffic to this wholesale platform where people can find my videos. There's an explanation about the products. They like the story. They like what I offer, and then they go and purchase. So there's a bit of that component of things. So it kind of happens organically, I would say. And more getting presence. I would say TikTok has been helping a lot too. And it goes in peaks too throughout seasons and what's happening in the market as well. It fluctuates a little bit.
Yeah, very, very cool. And Mike, have you got a funnel yet? I mean, Bespoke Musica is the product. What's your funnel? Big question. You've got a product at the end. People, you write songs for people for a fee.
Well, the funnel, the funnel. I mean, the landing page, for lack of a better word, is Substack. But I would say the funnel is right now is this circle of LinkedIn Live and or YouTube presenters, and so. I get on a semi-regular basis, I will get requests from those folks. I haven't really necessarily shared this, but I did for Felipe. I actually wrote a pro bono. I wrote a birthday song, but that led to me actually doing a track for his book. He had created a video out of the illustrations from the book into a video, and then he used my track as so in part his book is my is my funnel, because in the next printing of the book he's going to have a QR code that goes to that video. And he does, and other folks I've done pro bono work are basically giving me free PR as creators, like the host of Just Jacks lets people know that I've done that for her. So my funnel right now is really live presenters, mostly around LinkedIn Live, but a lot of those people do YouTube Lives
It's
too.
very important that we have an understanding of the funnel idea, because no one's going to come straight in and buy your stuff. I mean, that does happen occasionally, but it's very rare. But you don't want to hang around. This is very important. You don't want to hang around at the top of the funnel and just fluff about all the time. You've got to bring them down if you want to pay the rent. You don't have to do it if you're just having fun, but you want to have a result. You just don't want to do these shows and talk 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 for nothing. You want to bring them, either have a conversation on LinkedIn or meet them for coffee or ring them or become a friend on LinkedIn or Substack. You want a result. ROI means different things for different people. It doesn't have to be a product sold. But this is a very fascinating discussion. I'm just so into this. Our friend Liz in Austin uses Circle, which is a very similar site to School. There's about 100 of these. Circle, Heartbeat, Kajabi, Go High Level, Discord to a certain extent is one of these. And they're all just based on community sites. Just a highly contentious comment because all of them are different. But they all basically do the same thing, a place where you can hang out. And Substack is just sort of probably in this case top of funnel, whereas School and Circle, Kajabi, Go High Level, Heartbeat, Mighty Networks, they're all bottom of the funnel, and you've got to bring them in. Very, 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 very cool. So we've been trading. Yeah, you go.
If we can take a moment here, I shared, and I mentioned last night I was going to do this, so I had my weekly happy hour chat, and I opened the conversation. I opened the room with the songs that we listened to last night. Layla had an opportunity to jump on, and I shared both songs with her. And you have a home here, and I won't put words in her mouth. I'll let her articulate her thoughts, but she does believe that you have a place here on school, and it doesn't necessarily need to be your own place, because as I mentioned yesterday, I will find a classroom. I will find a place to park and create a funnel for you.
Pick up on that, Lola. What do you mean? You've got a home here. It's a lovely site, isn't it? School.
Like, I don't know. Can you clarify the the
Well,
question?
so the question, well, it's more of what's your sentiment on the music that I shared with you today that was created by Mike, and then I'm kind of tying it all together in terms of a marketing funnel. Mike can choose to create a community, a school community of his own, and around his music. But my offering was and remains, let's find a place where we can amplify and help Mike create a funnel inside your stage.
Yeah, I actually I was very impressed. Like the music gave me chills. So that's how how really the voice, the lyrics like really resonated with me. It really gives a sense of community. Really, you can tell that there's a lot of passion and authenticity in it. And it was so real that it gave me chills. So and it doesn't happen to me very often. And I think that definitely he has an opportunity to really do something with it, either in this community or elsewhere. But I think that having that community also helped showcase, because most likely I probably would never heard of it, you know? So, yeah.
Well, I just want to say, number one, I'm deeply touched by both of you and Keith, although him less so. And I'm joking, Keith. And I'm joking, Keith. Um, but again, this is what I'm talking about when I talk about community. So it's not just a collection of sort of disparate individuals. To me, what as we are participating in community and authenticity, as we're giving, uh there is an ROI in giving. Now, I don't necessarily give to get, but I think there's sort of call it whatever you want, a natural law of attraction. um it's just, I just think, uh as we gather, we become greater than the sum of our parts. And so that's the power of community, regardless of what the platform is. So thank you, Americo, for that offer. um to be honest, I've just gotten some bad news, which I'll share offline, or potential bad news. So I may be leaning harder into the bespoke musica as opposed to creating AI based tracks myself for distribution elsewhere.
Fair enough.
We'll let that hang a little bit there. I don't want to put you on the spot. We'll chat later about that. But one of the things I wanted to mention about school and the gamification. Now, gamification, whether you like it or not, is a thing. It's a very strong marketing strategy that is absolutely fundamental to human character. Right? And I found myself in the initial weeks getting very excited. Like it says there, 42 points to get to level 3. I'm going, well, how do I get points? Of course, I worked it out. How do you get points, and how do I get to number 1? Layla's so far ahead of me. How am I going to get to the gold medal? Like it's in my character. I'm competitive. So the way that school works, which is very, very cool, is you don't actually get points for liking or commenting, because that's easy to do. You get points when someone else likes your comment or comments on your comment, which is harder to do, and it means that the engagement's actually real. Okay, Keith, you've created a post. I resonate with that. Here are my thoughts. What do you think? Bingo, you're conversing in private, in a community. This is why I love it. It's almost like a glorified DM because no one else can see it. Only members of the community can see this, and we're all friends. There's 54 of us now, and we're all on the same page. And this is a really glorious thing, but it's very difficult to get to level. I'm currently 9 points away from level 4, but I feel like I'm playing a game. I feel like I'm a 16-year-old guy playing Space Invaders, and I mean, in a way, I feel a bit silly. But it's quite addictive, isn't it, Americo? This is the goal. It's quite addictive.
Yeah, and it empowers people to move along and create their own journey at their own pace. And for similar reasons, and it may not tie in with gamification, but I'll draw my comparison as to why I chose a paid community opposed to trying to build community on Substack alone. And I've shared this with you, and I'll share it now with the rest of the listeners. Because Substack is free and rewards me with the use of their platform, they make money when I make money. But because I'm not paying for it, there's not as much skin in the game for me. So I don't feel as empowered or inspired to build community around there. I'll distribute content on there that will drive people back to my community. But because I'm paying it, now it's a nominal fee. It's $9 a month. But I know there's now skin in the game. I now have a purpose, something that drives me to drive value so that I can get and see my ROI. Otherwise, I'm just throwing $9 a month away, and at some point, maybe $100 a month when I upgrade to Pro. So because I now have a vested interest, there's pride and ownership. I'm now paying for this. I now have equity stakes in my own community. And if I don't take care of it, if I don't nurture it, and if I don't put meaningful content and drive value, then no one's going to want to pay for the services that I will insert down the line. And no one will want to stick around because they can get what I'm delivering elsewhere. They can Google it.
I love what you're saying. You're setting an intention. The fact that you're paying, you're telling the universe that you want to be paid. If you just use all the free, this happens a lot. If you use all the free tools but tell the universe you want to get paid, there's a bit of a disconnect there. Like I don't want to pay for anything, but I want to be paid. Well, that's not fair. If you want to be paid, you should pay. You don't go to the service station and say, "Look, I just got a tank of petrol. Thank you very much. I love you." Yeah, that'll be $97, please. $2 a litre times 50 litres. That'll be $97, please. Well, hang on. I didn't agree to that. Well, you put the nozzle in the gadget. You push the button. There's money to be paid here. It's not free. So you are playing that game. I get it. I totally get it. $9 a month is not very much for you, but you intend to make this into a business. You're telling the universe, and this is about mindset, isn't it, Donna? If that's a lovely little way to end the game, if you're still there. Mindset is everything.
I am.
Yep. Do you agree that by paying for services, you're telling the universe that you want to be paid, or is that a little bit sort of trite, a little bit too compacted?
Accepting payment is saying, okay, say that again.
School is $9 a month, right? And the reason why Americo doesn't use Substack as much as I do is that school is free. So Substack is free, and he believes he's telling the universe that he's not serious, and he doesn't have any skin in the game. Whereas school is $9 a month. He's committing that money to the project. He wants to make this into a business. He's telling the universe this is what he wants. I'm putting words in his mouth now, but the point is that
that's good.
He has skin in the game. He pays school. Yeah.
As I understood it, he has members come in the community for $9 a month. Is that correct?
No. This community is free for members. He pays $9 a month. He pays $9 a month to manage that community.
Yeah. So I pay $9. That's right. I pay $9 a month to have rights to host a community on school. Members can join for free, and there will always be a free component to the community. The services that I embed, the workshops, the classrooms, some of the digital assets that will come over time, those will be set at either at a certain level or for a certain membership to drive value. It's one thing to charge someone, $9 a month, but if you're not giving them value to want to relinquish $9 from their wallet and transfer it to your wallet, then it's a losing strategy. So I'm still early in the game. I want to make sure that when I do this, I do it right, because I see a lot of school community members, they front load it. Hey, come join me for, 100, 200, however many dollars, either monthly or annually. And then I find them stepping back and retracting. It's like, all right, back to the drawing board. When you go from a paid membership to a free membership, the optics kind of change and people start perhaps thinking differently about your community. My intention is to always have some offering that is free, because it's just the way the community needs to work in order to survive. And then
I think in the 2020s, you can't. I don't believe you can have a product that's from the get-go is paid. How
That's
can
right.
I mean, you can't.
I agree.
We as a community, as citizens of the world, have always believed that we should be able to try it. As Donna once said, look, give me a manual, give me a month, and if I can work it out, I'll buy it. But I'm not going into a shop to buy something I've never heard of and never tried before. That's not fair. So let me pick up on the key differences between school and Substack. So this is my community on Substack, and my community is 100% free. But one day, maybe down the track, one day I might say, hey, look, if you do want to pay for this and help me pay my phone bill and my enormous internet bill and put petrol in my car for the $97 that I need to spend once a month, then you can give me $8 a month and you'll get extra goodies. But I haven't got anywhere close to offering this service yet. And I have noticed that on Substack, people with 3 followers have got a paid community. I'm thinking, well, what am I getting? Why would I pay you? I don't even know who you are. Come on. I mean, you've done nothing. What are you charging for? What do you get? Yeah, well, it's there. I just thought I'd turned it on. Yeah, but I don't even know who you are. Why would I pay you money? I've never even heard of you.
Keith, I think it boils down to what is my value prop, right? If I can't really explain what my value prop is, I probably shouldn't be charging. And even if I can, I'm a big believer, and I've been in the software world forever. I really like the idea of trialware. Try before you buy. Why not? Because I have
Absolutely.
to understand, if you're giving me now, to your point though, at some point you got to cut that off, or it sounds like what America was talking about is, okay, I'm going to tier my offering. So this is what you get for free. So again, you can kind of try before you buy, and maybe attend a few of my free webinars or whatever, where I, again, for the top of funnel people, I explain what my offerings are. And because I'm part of the community, I already have a comfort feeling as to who Americo is and what he can offer. But to do that from the word go, I'm sorry, and I think from the creator standpoint, for me, it's I'm building out because I don't have a lot of coins to rub together. I'm planning on building things out in steps. So I'm going to say I'm going to be bold and say when I have a following, then I'm going to change up, for instance, my Substack to have a paid subscribers that, like I said, maybe maybe they get a new track early, or some other differentiator. So I think you really have to understand your ICP, which is your I'm gonna forget what that means again. Your customer profile, or
Ideal
ideal
customer.
customer profile. So if you don't really understand that, that's gonna be a problem. And then to tier to services, because I'm going to flip my lid a little bit and say I have found that when you don't charge, and again, this is more for something I'm already providing as a value. If you don't charge, there's I've found anyway, and particularly with family or friends, that they may not see that value. In other words, like I had an example where I did some midnight troubleshooting, literally midnight troubleshooting for one of my daughter's friends. And I said, this time it's free, but next time, you're asking me to help you in the middle of the night, it's going to be $100 an hour. And I did that for two reasons. One is maybe you should be a little more careful with, doing something on your PC, and that Mike's time has value. So I think that's kind of something to keep in the back of your mind. But you are going to have to figure out your pricing. So that's what I got to say about. But subscription models, I don't know. I mean, we could go on forever about pricing and subscriptions and everything else. But I would like sometimes to have a like Richard was offering a lifetime deal. Uh, Again, when you're helping someone kind of start out their service, I think you should probably reward those founder subscribers that way. But then again, you have to kind of have a good plan in place to navigate that and move to a more uh, you know profitable funnel subscription model.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Business is a whole game unto itself. And we've been chatting now for 2 hours, so it's a good chance to have a bit of a break. And for those who need to go, and for those who want to come in to come. What I do, and we can probably come back and chat about this after the break, what I personally do with AI, and today's show is about AI, I write little jingles which aren't designed to be on the radio, but really they set the tone of what the show's about. So I have a show called Social Audio Soundcheck, and I have a theme song for that. And I also have a theme song for the show that's on in 2 days' time called the Multi-Streaming 101 series. It's a 4-part series. I wrote a theme song for this. I'm going to play that, gives people a chance to reset, have a toilet trip maybe, walk around the house, make a cup of tea, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about AI as a creative pursuit, and you'll get a bit of a sense of what this site can do.
Multi-streaming 101. The choice is crystal clear. Now you can stream your story for the world to hear. Pick your path, there's no Messages flying, engagement combined, but focus can fade when you spread too thin. Deep roots grow slow. Where do you begin? Oh, Twitch lights up, YouTube glows, LinkedIn's in the mix, and everyone knows growth is fast when you break the mold, but building a tribe takes time and soul. Multi-streaming 101, the choice is crystal clear. Now you can stream your story for the world to hear. Pick your path, there's no wrong run. Learn the rhythm. Multi-streaming 101. Multi-streaming 101. Oh yeah, the choice is crystal clear. Now you can stream your story for the world to hear. Pick your path, there's no wrong run. Learn your rhythm. Multi-streaming 101.
You're listening to KKFM in Melbourne, Australia. I'm Keith Keller, and that was Multi-Streaming 101, a brand new show I've started just in February. But what we're talking about AI. We're talking about AI for music, AI for sound, AI for marketing, AI for writing. It's completely changed the game, and we cannot put the genie back in the bottle. We cannot. It's out. It's out there. And do we want to? So, Mike, you start. You're using Suno, and I'd be interested to know where the AI journey has taken you. Where do you want to start? What do you use? You use Suno? Do you write as well? Do you use any AI generation for sound control? What's your AI journey?
Do we have about 5 hours? But in all seriousness, I use actually AI every day. And it depends on what. Like I do what I call ideation. So I talk to, pick a model. And what I mean by ideation is I'll actually use the chat, the voice feature, and talk to the model. Usually about, okay, I want to investigate yada yada yada, whatever the subject is. Let's step through, either writing an article or what have you. I've actually written GPTs and what's called on Perplexity spaces. They're basically agents that you set up to do various things, and so I was actually looking, and I think I lost my uh, I have literally, I don't know, 15 or 20 GPTs, some that I created, and then some that I've gotten from other people. For example, I have one that does, I started a campaign in 25 to basically provide uplifting comments to live shows. So I actually created a GPT for that. I since have moved that over to Spaces in Perplexity, but and again, these are sort of promptings. They aren't necessarily. I'm not necessarily pulling the result out of that, but I need, ideas about how can I create something fun and funny and uplifting for the comment section on Americo or Keith or Donna's or whoever's lives. So that's one way I use it. On the regular, when I need illustrations or images, I'm using AI to create those images. And then last but not least, Suno is, and I think I had tried a few others, but at least right now, I think Suno is probably both the most popular, but probably in my opinion anyway. It's probably one of the better tools from an AI perspective. And like I said, I write the lyrics. I write all my lyrics. And again, um, sometimes I use, I'm going to call it an assistant, not to create the lyric, but to create the framework for the lyric, because all good lyrics tell a story. So I actually have a storytelling space in Perplexity to help me frame that, and including, like, I was just plugging in something for Donna what is what is a good genre to use for mindset, um, service for mindset changing. So it's that type of stuff, because it's doing stuff like going out and scraping, various sites to give you a better idea of, okay, this is kind of what you should be thinking about when you're looking for your ICP. Again, how to get at that. And so, one of the things I'm doing when I'm songwriting is I'm trying to match the 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 emotions of the music and the intended audience of the lyrics. So I'm really trying to mix both of those together to create a song that is reaching its intended audience, or maybe even beyond that. But certainly, I want to meet whatever that intended audience is.
That's great. I knew that you'd be able to give me a really good long answer to get me started and settled. What about you, America? How do you use AI, and what are your favorites?
So I will use AI for my studio creation, the backdrops, the scenes. I'll use AI to some degree for the bottom third. Definitely use AI for repurposing. So I will pull the transcripts from each of my live conversations and ask it to analyze the transcript. And depending on what vibe I'm going for, I'll ask for key takeaways, I'll ask for a summary, I'll ask for a blog, and it will give me the framework, and I will kind of tinker around with it so that as much as the AI tries to write in my tone, there's just some things that I probably wouldn't say, so I'll still edit it, and definitely use AI for
Let's pick up on
image
what
creation.
when you did yesterday. This is very, very cool. What you did yesterday, we did this very impromptu after the Super Bowl show, and it was Mike and I and you talking about sound quality on school. And you recorded it as an MP3 and you put it on Substack. Tell me how you did that. This repurposing content is probably one of the coolest ways to use AI. You've got a show, you recorded it, but it's an audio. How did you get all of that context, all that text? From what site did you use to put that together? Did you write it out, or how did you do it?
So within school, I can extract the transcript for each of our conversations, provided that I hit record. It'll record and transcribe the conversation. I took the raw file, I uploaded it, or downloaded it from school and uploaded it into Substack, and it automatically parses through all the data. It'll transcribe it. It'll recommend and suggest short clips for me. But now that I know that there's a transcription feature, I don't have to lean on Substack as often. I will just take the transcription from school and prompt with my GPT to analyze from whatever persona I want, with the ghostwriter lens, or in my, I find it very often, and maybe it's the way I'm engineering my prompt, I find very often that some of what is being transcribed and then put into a summary refers to me in the third person. And I got to go back and change it and speak in the first person, because I don't want it to be a story where I'm a character and I'm referring to myself as one of those characters.
Yeah. And the audio, did you just push stop and go, or how did you edit that audio?
So the audio, the great thing with school, which I discovered as well, because they don't compress their files. If you talk, as long as we're able to, then the file just gets too big and it would just bog down our system. So when I know that I'm queuing up a question, just like yesterday we queued up Mike's songs, I hit the record and reminded myself to jump in and jump out. So I was creating short clips and snippets as we were talking, and it just made the editing easier. I didn't have to go through an entire file that had to be uploaded. So it gives me a little bit of flexibility. It's very rudimentary, but still, it's a rudimentary feature that has a lot of utility.
Yeah, so you push go, and then it recorded, and you push stop.
It recorded, and then you push stop, and it stops, and then I used that 17-minute portion.
Yeah, that whole file.
Yeah.
Okay. No editing.
And no editing.
Yeah.
So I used it. Yeah, I used it as a teaser, inviting people. Hey, here's a clip from one of our conversations. Now, traditionally, because it's community and you want to keep it safe, I wouldn't do that normally with other conversations. But because this was, we're here to amplify Mike and we're here to promote community, I felt safe sharing that in a public domain.
Yeah.
And inviting people, hey, if you want to be part of conversations like this, or if you want to just create a conversation like this, come join us on your stage over at school.
I love what you're doing there. Do you have a tool to edit, or is that not one of your power suits?
I do have a tool. I use Microsoft's Clipchamp. Yep. I tried Opus. I didn't like it. I felt that I still had to use or put a lot of energy into tweaking what Opus was giving me. I keep hearing about Descript, and as soon as I cancel my subscription to LinkedIn Premium, I'll probably reinvest in Descript.
Yeah, the great power of Descript and another site called Treble FM, which are very similar, is that you can take out the words as a Word document, and then it takes out those words in the file. It's pretty magical to hear. Pretty magical. Like you hear these words and the ums and the ahs and the dog barking, and you go, okay, let's just take that bit out. I know exactly how hard that is because I use a site called Audacity, which I'm pretty good at. But it's very, 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 very time consuming. So I would love one day, America, I was thinking this last night, let's do a show on school for the school community. You record it, send it to me. I'll snip it up using Audacity because I love doing it. And we'll just turn it into, say, 8 little snippets. And then we'll turn that into a SoundCloud series. I'll send it back to you. You can send it as 8-part little snippets. And this AI is really designed to help us create content faster. We're not cheating. The stuff is in our brain, but it's just too hard to get out. Right? AI is just there to help. So let's do that. Let's set an intention that we do an 8-part series or something. We record it in one sitting perhaps, and then I'll snip it up. I'm pretty good at that, pretty fast at that. I'll send it back to you. We'll create a little theme song. We'll put a theme music. It can become a little community thing that you get at level 3.
Perfect.
I will say, Keith, you hit sort of the nail on the head. It's not just speed. In some cases, I actually wrote an article on this about transhumanism, and what I mean by that is we're already making use of it's not just AI. We're making use of our phones to offload. You can call it cognitive load. You can call it memory. Like, I'm sorry, but I use Google Calendar to remind me of, for instance, when your show is happening, because otherwise I might miss it. And so I'm offloading some of that, need to remember everything. And I mean, most people that are executives or wherever have a calendar that they're using, so that's not unusual. But I think what's unusual is the use of, to your point, of AI to make these to make it easier and to automate some of that, that stuff. And like I said, for me, it's really about. I mean, it's going to sound silly that I talk to, a model or models, which is usually models, daily. And oh, by the way, you probably didn't know that you're talking to Gemini if you're using your Android phone, and it's built into Google now. Google, that part of the Android, and I think a lot of people probably aren't even aware that they're using AI, and we haven't talked about it yet. But you can potentially use AI to help your sound, which I think you wanted to touch on. But my point is, AI is becoming part of our lives, whether we like it or not. And it just like any other new technology, I think we have to understand a what it can do, b what it isn't necessarily doing, and use it, as best we can in the you know best way possible that is beneficial.
What about you, Layla? Jump in on this. What sites do you use? What AI tools do you use to promote what you do? I mean, it's impossible to it's impossible. I would think it's impossible to keep up with what's expected in the world if you don't use AI. And I might even go that far. What sites do you use to keep up with all of this content that we have to create?
Yeah, definitely, especially that my products are handmade, so just the portion of making the products takes time, packaging, labeling, and everything. So I gotta find a way for me to like offload some of the making product photos and things like that. So I take product photos raw, and then I use an AI that it creates a nice background and it looks super professional. You would think it's a professional photos, but it's actually an AI that's doing it. It's doing a really good job. So I do that, as well as using ChatGPT and Gemini just for like drafting some scripts sometimes, especially for videos for TikTok or maybe my shorts these days, just to help me kind of get. I put the information in there and I'm just like trying to get me a shorter script, and especially creating those hashtags that takes forever. So AI is great for that. And I use it for my Shopify store and my Wix as well. Like I'm able to take those content, and it's still me doing the work, right? The product is there. It's just the way that taking the pictures, making the videos. I use CapCut for editing my videos on my phone, which I can add captions and all that I need, and then I can plunk it on other social media, which really helps for my shorts for YouTube and TikTok.
Oh, this is good. It's very important that we're having this discussion because you don't have to use AI. It's not obligatory, but I would think in 2026 you'll have a lot of trouble keeping up with what people can put out if you're not using it. And that's a big statement, I guess. And maybe that could be your point of difference. Guaranteed homemade. I saw this an ad today. I am a 100% a human writer. Okay, good on you. If you want to write your own articles, go for it. I use Perplexity. They're much better. Makes me sound much more intelligent than I actually am. The language is similar to what I would use myself. I'm not cheating. I'm just using it to say it better. Or am I cheating? I don't know. But I can do it in half the time, and it sounds twice as good. So I'm 4 times better off. Is that right? 2 times 2 equals 4. You know,
Keith, I was gonna say, and when I was gonna joke a little bit with Layla when she was talking about doing shorts, but and the joke is potentially, and I'm actually looking at doing this, is creating shorts as a clone, meaning I still write the content, but the clone is doing the talking. Uh, Part of me, like you, isn't real thrilled about appearing on camera, and there are a lot of issues relative to lighting and all this other stuff, and so I want to make the best use of my time that I have left on Earth, and I just look at AI as what I call force multiplier, meaning that I can do things. Number one, I can do things I couldn't actually do before, and it has to do with depth of search and all this other stuff. So is getting this data in one place, and then using AI to manipulate to my advantage. not necessarily to Google's advantage or someone else's. And to me, that's the value. I use AI as a tool, regardless of kind of what I'm using it for, whether it's ideation
Can
or
you imagine going back to a world where you had to do your own dishes, or you had to wash your own clothes, or you had
right.
to wash your own car?
Yep.
Like, I mean, I recently went to a car wash and it did such a terrible job. I'm seriously thinking of washing my own car. But can you imagine washing your clothes by hand, or going back to a world where there was no electricity, or getting on a horse to get places? I mean, AI is a tool, like the
Yep.
car was a tool, like a dishwasher. Like, I will never go back to a life before I had a dishwasher. Like, it's a line in the sand that I'm not going backwards. Once you've got a dishwasher, you cannot imagine how you got by without one. But we did. We used to not have dishwashers. We used to not have clothes washers. We used to not have cars. We used to not have telephones. So AI is here. It's a line in the sand, and we are embracing it. And I think what we're doing here is we're chatting about the types of things we can use. So I just think it's an astonishing idea. Why don't we talk about sound though? And Layla, just to let you know, you're a little bit distorted. I'm wondering if you can dial back the volume a bit. I don't know if you've got headphones on and you can hear that, but you're coming in a bit loud, so it's a bit distorted. So let's talk about sound, using AI for sound. You guys first, Mike, because you know a bit about this. I'll talk next, and that gives Layla a chance to address her volume issues. But what do you use to make sound better?
Well, we had worked through, I don't know, when was this, Keith? Sometime in, I think, 25, maybe early 25. When I was first sort of getting into maybe, trying to improve my sound. Uh, yeah, exactly. We had talked about the use of something called Steel Series sonar. So that's a piece of software that is doing sort of normal EQ stuff, but one of the pieces to it is it allows you to use AI for noise reduction slash background, particularly background noise. And there's another, I'm forgetting off the top of my head, which there's another piece of software that is mostly used for transcription, and it's escaping me. But there are
Crisp.
Crisp, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had actually tried that, and I was okay with it, but I just didn't like the cost, and there was other issues. I didn't really want the transcription piece, but there are a number of tools, including this Steel Series, which, by the way, it's free. It's a free download, and but the people that make it are actually have like gaming gear and such. So it's kind of the genesis of it, but the important thing for me was not only just so it can change. Keith had that, yeah, that one. That it can actually modify your sound to really focus on various things like these are English words, but it's actually looking at you can see down at the bottom the frequencies, and it will basically downplay certain like lower if you're trying to focus on clarity and presence and crisp, that it'll focus on the higher frequencies and basically attenuate the lower frequencies, including sometimes like background noise like fans and whatnot. So I would highly recommend, if you don't have the capability of spending kind of more on some of the gear that Keith has, like the P4, or even more expensive sound gear, that there's the opportunity to use things like this Steel Series. And yeah, and we hadn't talked about, or at least recently, about dynamic versus um what's the other type? I'm
Condenser.
forgetting.
Let,
Condenser.
let me.
So,
This is a
so
very
yep,
this is a very good place to start here. So a
yep,
condenser mic and I've got one. I'll plug it in a minute. But a condenser mic is lovely for a couple of reasons. One is they're usually cheaper. They usually plug directly into a computer. This is not always the case because you can buy very, very expensive condenser mics. But the one you just buy at the shops is usually a condenser mic. You don't need to know how that works. That's just a word that appears on the packet, and it picks up everything. It's really, really, really lovely, and I will plug one in a minute. They're really lovely if you've got a quiet room and no one's in the house and there's no dogs barking and there's no one mowing their lawn and there's no kids, because it gives you a very rich sound, and there's lots of vibrance, what we would probably call sheen, or maybe I'll just see if we can get some crisp and present and sheen. You lose a little bit of this because this is my mic here. This is a very good example. I lose a lot of the top end on this mic. This is the mic I'm currently using, and it sort of sounds a little bit muffled, a little bit by comparison. But the power of a dynamic mic is, if there is someone working from home, or the kids are screaming, or the dogs are barking, or someone's mowing their lawn, it does a very, 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 very good job of cutting it out. And I'll give you a very clear example. So you can talk directly into the mic 1 centimeter away, sounds clean and clear and present. And if I go just 10 centimeters away, I'm not going to change anything that I've said, but you can hear that it's a lot softer. Now, if you imagine that someone's a couple of meters away in the backyard mowing the lawn, almost impossible to hear it. Almost impossible. And if there's dogs barking in the front of the house or a helicopter in the air, very, very difficult to hear that. But if you live in a noisy environment and you've got a condenser mic, and they're lovely, like Layla's got one, it's very cool. It's a very cool mic, but it's a condenser mic, very affordable, cost us $65, including a stand and a pop filter. So I might bring Layla in for that exact reason. Do you have you want to just do a bit of a sound check while we're here? There was a little bit of boom there. Do you want to just give us a bit of a sound check and see if we can improve that sound for you?
Sure. I think it might have been my fan was overheating for some reason. So I think that might be that, or maybe it's really my mic or my headphones.
Yeah. What does it sound like to you? Fine.
Yeah, it sounds fine to me. Yeah.
Now it's much better than it was, because it was very boomy. And I'm just going to guess that you're in a big room with windows or maybe tiles, or you're in the kitchen.
No, I'm in a closed room with closed curtains, and there's like nobody out. It's very quiet. I'm by myself.
Okay, no, well, okay, but it sounds a little bit. This is very, very subtle, because we're now talking about a sound check. You sound fantastic, but we're talking now about high level concepts. It's a little bit hollow, and but only very noticeable on my headphones. Let me ask Americo and Mike what they think. Can you tell the difference, Mike, between my mic and Layla's mic?
Yes. What I'm hearing with Layla, and there are actually some simple low cost solutions. I'm actually hearing what I believe, because it's a condenser mic, I'm hearing echo, not the true like echo, but I can hear. It sounds to me like she's in a box.
Yeah.
I can hear that. I don't even I'm not very good at sound words, but I can actually hear the fact that this is a condenser. And the difference, Layla, is the condenser literally will pick up. So as your voice is sort of bouncing around the room, it's not an echo, a true echo, but it's Keith is describing it as hollow. I'm describing it as I can actually hear sort of the sound bouncing. It's not an echo, so it's not a lag, but I can hear that it has that sense to it. So one of the things, a cheap potential solution would be to hang some blankets or something on, if you have walls that are bare. And again, I'm not telling you what to do, but you could potentially actually attenuate that hollowness sound by hanging blankets up on the wall or around you to stop that sound from bouncing off the walls.
It's just very subtle, Layla. We're only doing this because we're in part 2 and you're open. Like, I would never say this to you from the day one. It's very subtle. In fact,
Yep.
most people won't be able to hear this. But the reason I love this community is that we want everyone to improve. Like, I have people calling in when there's kids are screaming in the background and they don't mind. Well, I can tell you that I do mind. And I just think that's unfair. And I've got mates of mine that will not have people on their podcast if there's noise in the background, because they've got a standard. And I know, Lee, you want to get on these cool high shows, don't you? You want to get on these very cool shows where high-level people have got big audiences, yeah?
Yeah, eventually, definitely. I do have, what came with the box is also that kind of styrofoam that you can put on the mic.
Pop
That
filter.
kind of cushion. I don't know if it's used for anything. Like, does it make a difference?
Oh, it does.
The windscreen. Yeah.
If you had a fan or whatever, it might help with that, but it's not necessarily going to help with the echoey, the hollow sound.
Okay.
Because the challenge is, and we're diving a little deep into design and stuff, but the challenge is how the acoustics are working within the room. And if you have a condenser mic, as Keith said, it is literally, I mean, that's sort of what its job in life is to really hear, for lack of a better word, everything, and including that sound bouncing around off those blank walls. And it could be a wall that has a painting, but the painting isn't going to stop it from bouncing. So you have to have soft. That's why, when you're in studios and stuff, you have all those special foam blocks or whatever that's attenuating and stopping the sound from bouncing around the room. And that's why you have in studio environments, you have condenser mics, but you have those special rooms that are built out to basically, build that sound with the condenser mics. I will say, though,
learning, so it's really good because I had no idea of any of that stuff. So this is really good.
Yeah.
But I will say, Keith, when I had the Q2U, actually, I think all my mics are the dynamics. But when I had the Q2U, it was picking up, even though it was dynamic, and we did that test like you just did with, stepping away from it and getting closer. It absolutely does that. But unfortunately, it was also picking up background noise. If you remember, even with some of the tricks I was doing.
Work that out. I couldn't work that out for you. I couldn't work out why you were getting background noise on the Q2U. But the message that Mike was just sharing there is that professional studios have this sort of foam that looks like egg cartons. This is actually quite an expensive hack, and my wife refuses to let me do it. But you can put this stuff on the wall. It's very, very expensive to do. I wouldn't bother. But there's a hack you can do, Layla, we can even try today. And this is what we call this is a really cool hack. Costs you nothing. It's called the proximity effect. Now, in the proximity effect, if you go very close to the mic and speak with authority but don't shout, you will get the lovely warm bottom end, and you come across like an FM radio announcer. Like, this is a very important hack. You're 1 centimeter away from the mic. Hold it in your hand. I am speaking into my mic 1 centimeter away. And what happens there is it picks up all those lovely bass notes. It's just natural. It's just a natural phenomenon in the acoustic world. It'll cost you nothing if you get this right. And this is what we call microphone technique. And you can actually just speak. The reason why I love this idea, and I have a mic on a stand, this is how I do it. The mental power of having a mic in your hand and closing your eyes and talking into the mic means that there's nothing else in the world. I am speaking right now, and there is nothing as important as what I'm just about to say. There's nothing important to me. I'm not minding the kids. I'm not playing with my phone. I'm not watching the kids play football. I'm not watching the television, because and you'll notice this, a lot of people that come on the show, they're doing about 8 things at once. Hang on, mate. I forgot what you said there. Can you repeat the question? Or weren't you listening? Oh, I'm so sorry. I had to take the dog for a walk. Well, when you get back, let me know, and then I'll call you. Don't sort of put me on hold and take the dog for a walk and go to the toilet and make a meal and put the microwave on. I'm right here, right now. Right now, if you can get into that zone, well, let's try it. Be about 1 centimeter away from the mic and speak with authority and with real dedication. Let's try that, Layla, rather than it being a long way away, which is possibly what it is. Can you try that? Can you just try talking 1 centimeter away?
Sure. How's that sound right now?
Yeah. So
Is it better?
yeah, it is, because what happens there is that the microphone is only picking up as much as it can with its microphone pattern what you're doing. And it also means that you're clearer, you're speaking with authority. Because if you don't, you're going to end up sounding like you're in a tunnel, which is what most people sound like. I'm in a tunnel and hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm here, but God, I'm so far away. Hello, can you come closer? Yes, I can come closer. I'm right here. All I did was move my hand. Right? So that's one thing you can do. It'll cost you nothing. And I know you're open to this, and this is not a criticism. So I'm so glad that you're open to sounding better, because you want to get on these big shows, or you want to get progressively up the line, yeah. And you've started because you've got a little microphone that you paid money for. Most people just call in on their laptop. You got no idea how terrible people sound. They just call in on their laptop because they just don't care, or they don't know. Are you there, Americo? Did you get back? Or
Yeah, I'm here.
Americo is a host of shows, and he has told me about times where there's a guest who wants to promote their business, talking in the kitchen with someone sharpening knives 5 meters away, and they couldn't believe that we could hear them. Astonishing. The husband is sharpening knives in the kitchen 5 meters away from the laptop, and the wife is sitting at the kitchen table, what we might loosely call kitchen table counselors, and she's promoting her business. She wants people to pay her for her skill, and she's sitting in the kitchen on a laptop. Sounds atrociously bad. And America had to actually stop the interview and say, look, can we just spend a minute getting that sound right? You may not know.
Yeah, we were in the green room, so we were doing
a tech check. Oh, wow, you hadn't started yet.
We hadn't started yet. So I heard the water flowing, and that's what prompted this. Are you in the kitchen? It's like, yes. Is it a problem it's like, it's not a problem that you're in the kitchen. What the problem might be is the water that's running in the background. It's like, oh, you can hear water? It's like, yes. Is there someone running water? It's like, yeah, my husband's washing dishes. Like, okay. Well, if you can ask your husband to either wait, or if you can move before we go live, then not a problem. Your husband can continue running the dishes. So, okay, I'll get him to stop. So he stopped doing dishes, and then all I heard was this whoosh, 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 whoosh. It's like, okay. So now, all right, the water stopped, but now I hear like something slicing through something. I hear this. Says, oh, you can hear that too. He's sharpening our kitchen knives. It's like
That's funny.
Funny, isn't it?
Well, part of it, guys and gals, part of it is, it's really, I'm sorry, but it's awareness. It's it's really exposure, because I think, like, if I have my earbuds and I'm using well, and sometimes it can get really bad, and I think we've run into this, Keith, where someone is having earphones but they don't have a mic, and so it sounds like crap because it's contending with the microphone, or worse. This is really bad, is when they have the microphone and the speakers on the PC, or Apple, Mac, or whatever it is, and so you just hear really bad echo where it's unusable. But I think I always try to stick up for the little guy, meaning the neophyte, or people that are naive about the sound, because I think a lot of cases, Keith, I just don't think they have exposure. Like you're saying, if you're in the kitchen, you're not necessarily thinking that hubby over there, let's say he's even further away. And I would argue, by the way, with my Q2U, I could probably pick up, my wife, with the water running in another room. Because I'm sorry, but even though it's not a condenser mic, it's pretty dang sensitive. So to your point, if you're going to be serious about this, and particularly if you're running your own shows, or if you're trying to get on good quality shows, you really need a studio, type of arrangement where you have a quiet room, and you have a sound setup that can, make the best use of your environment.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
you can
you're
get
going to be
later, but
fighting it.
aren't you working on that with your $2,000 computer that you're building? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Okay. So what I've done is I am, as you may or may not be aware, I was using a shared space with actually our dining room as my studio. Well, the problem with that is that my wife likes to watch the telly. And Keith would notice on occasion that he could hear the telly. And again, I was kind of surprised because I had actually done some tests, Keith. I don't know if I told you, using Audacity with that software, with the SteelSeries software, and I put the not super loud, but I put the TV on in the background, and I couldn't hear it. So to be honest, I'm still a little mystified and miffed because I'm like, here I had made a concerted effort to sound better for Keith, and it didn't work. but all that said, I think some amount of it is really, well, first of all, I think there are some lower cost solutions. By the way, Keith, I went out and bought one of those egg crate surround thingies for your mic. That didn't work again because I think these modern mics are, they're rather expensive mics. That's the pod mic I'm talking about, the pod mic USB. I think they're so sensitive that that even they're dynamic, that they can pick up that sound that most people, I think, because part of me, Keith, also because I've had to work in noisy environments at work, like I used to work in a QB type of environment, and humanly, Keith, our ears or our minds, it's probably our minds more than our ears, will shut out that sound. So when wifey is on the when wifey is on watching TV and I'm on the computer, I to some degree I can shut some of that out. Well, obviously the mic hears everything.
Yeah, now I was doing that, trying to be versatile and on the go. I used to take myself into my car, go run some errands, which, by the way, I got to make it to Walmart before they close. But that's what I used to do. I would take my phone and I would take you guys along with me. And if my window was cracked open, you'd hear that. And now I'm just aware. And you hear me often sharing the story in the reference to you don't know what you don't know until someone brings it to your attention. And who knows how many knives have been sharpened and how many dishes have been washed until I brought it to this person's attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
No, I think if you can do it, particularly Keith. I mean, you do these audio checks, the sound checks on purpose. But I think if I would highly recommend if you're a showrunner that you have people in the green room, and I would absolutely say, look, you have to show up. I don't know, 15 minutes or whatever before the show for a sound check because I want to make sure everyone has the best experience. uh and and just lay it out there. Look, I'm trying to do a quality show. Here are some tips as to what you need to be doing relative to making sure your sound is you're having the best sound experience that you can.
Yeah.
Can I
Protect
add
that.
to that? I do. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I Okay, I do agree. Just because, like you mentioned, people are not necessarily mindful. It's not their environment. They don't know, including myself. It's all new. So having somebody who can actually coach you and give you all these pointers to prepare you before you jump into these calls and meetings of lives and podcasts, it will make a big difference
It
because
will.
at least you're aware and you know, and you're just a bit more prepared.
That's another thing here. I love the whole coaching and the preparedness and the readiness. I now use school as a tool because if you recall a few weeks back, just before Christmas, I had a podcast producer as one of my guests. And we did a sound check. She said I sounded fine. And when I went to listen to the replay, it was probably one of the worst sounding shows I've done in a long time. I now jump into school. I will do a audio check for myself and trust myself only, opposed to trusting someone who says I sound right or sound good, because their definition of good may not meet the bar or the line that I've set for myself as good.
Coincidentally, she sounded pretty bad. That might have just been the day, but I remember that show and I thought, hang on, this person makes podcasts for a living and sounds terrible. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. Like, she sounded really terrible. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? Well, maybe because you're listening and you're not a guest. Often you haven't invested in the gear, but it's very embarrassing. Like, she sounded really bad. And it might have just been the internet on the day. But we've got another guest in the wings, Zakia. You'll love this, Layla. Zakia has a podcast, a Rode. Sorry, she has a Rode pod track. What is it? A Rodecaster Pro 2. Let me just get my thoughts going here. A Rodecaster Pro 2 and a Rode pod mic. I can't wait. If she's got time, I can't wait to hear her. She just sounds terrific, like really good. So if you've got time, Zakia, I would love to hear you come into the call and demonstrate your Rode products. Rode, an Australian company, arguably the best in the world, make really, 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 really high level products.
Keith is not biased whatsoever.
I don't have
The
them.
fact that he lives in
I
Australia.
can't afford them. I don't have them. I don't have one. I'm happy to have one, but I don't have one. If I really loved them, I'd buy one, wouldn't I? So I'm happy that. But they are very expensive for what they are. So the Rodecaster Pro 2 is 1,000 Australian dollars, and the Rode Pod Mic is 385 Australian dollars. So that's almost $1,400 to get a sound, probably better than what I'm getting now, but only marginally better. Especially
so you can run a show from North America with an Australian manufactured mic, but you can't be Australian using an Australian mic. It's just not compatible. you can't be both.
No, you can't. So as a key, I've just sent you the link. You're very welcome to come in and talk about this. So like anything, like cars even, in fact, I've got a Mazda 3. 30 grand, gets me from A to B, gets me to the shops, looks pretty funky, sort of toffee apple red color. It's enough for me. I just want a car. It gets me to the shops and back and to the restaurant and back. I'm not into cars, but I could spend $100,000, $200,000, $1 million on a car. I mean, there are cars that are $1 million, and I'm thinking, why would you spend $100,000 on a car? I would never do that. In fact, if you gave me $100,000 worth of a car, I would sell it and buy equipment. I know that for sure. I've already asked wifey about this. So the insurance on the car would be like 10 grand a year. I mean, it's just a ridiculous idea unless you're into cars.
But Keith, you made an important point though. If the Delta, so I have the Q2U and the Rode Pod Mic USB. If the difference is, I don't want to say marginal, but at some point you have to do the calculus to say, and it helps to have someone like Keith or both of us, because I have the pod mic, to say, okay, Mike will jump up on his Q2U, which was like $100 or whatever it was. And then he'll jump up on his same basic settings, although the pod mic comes with its own software, comes with Rode Connect, so it's doing some stuff behind the scenes. But you could potentially, plug them both into like the P4. Uh, Let me think about that. Yes, you could plug them both into the P4, and do a test that way. But the calculus has to be: is it worth spending, um, you know, twice as much, or maybe three times as much on the mic, the higher quality mic? And by the way, you can spend thousands of dollars on mics. I'm not ready to do that anytime soon. The same thing is true of the Rode, the Rodecaster. I would like to get the Rodecaster. It's just a little dear for me at the moment.
And Zakia has the Pro, which has four channels. You can indeed get a Podcaster Duo, which has 2 channels, which is what I would buy, given that there's only one of me, and I don't typically take it out into the field. But like anything, there is always a use case for something better. So my wife and I always have this discussion. We bought a car, but we paid $30,000 for it, not $130,000. It looks actually quite similar to a Maserati, the Mazda 3, quite similar enough for me. And they're $150,000. And I'm thinking, why would you spend $150,000 on a car? I mean, why would you? I mean, I can't get my head around that. I just cannot. That's 5 times dearer. It does the same thing. It gets you from A to B. You get to the shops. It's got a boot. You can drive on the highway. Sure, people are going to go, "Wow, Maserati, they must be nice. He must be pretty rich, that guy." But I mean, do you really need to be bothered with that? People are losing. I've got a Mazda 3. It gets me from A to B, and I love it. So, Layla, this is something you can talk about later down the track. This particular mic is $385. How much you paid $65, right? So that is like 8 times more. Would you pay 8 times more for a mic that does the same job? It's very hard. It's very, very hard to justify. But when you hear Zakia speaking, you'll want one. Like, I mean, it's a bit of a hack, isn't it, Mike? Once you hear stuff, you can't unhear it, can you? Suddenly you want things you never knew you wanted.
Well, particularly with sound, Keith, and when you have this thing, which, by the way, there's some of the tools that you have on the Duo are built into Connect. And again, this is where you have to do the calculus. It's like, exactly what's the difference between, because for me, US, I just had it up. Let me try to find it again. But US, the Duo is $500. So basically kind of half the cost of the Pro. I don't know if I'm ready to spend $500 on the Duo.
Yeah,
That's
I
actually
personally don't like software. Like, I wouldn't use software.
Yeah.
I'm very kinesthetic. I like touching things. I desperately want the Duo because it's got buttons I can push. I want to push buttons. I don't like using software for things. I actually love physical things. So that's why I would buy one. But you're right. The Rode Connect software, which only works with Rode mics, is completely free if you have a Rode mic. Completely free. So why would you buy a Rodecaster Duo when you can have the thing for free? Yeah, it makes complete sense. But you wouldn't have been able to use it with your Samsung. It won't work with your Samsung mic. It only works with USB mics. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but one of the huge advantages, and I'm still blown away by this, if I'm correct in how it works, Keith, is that it actually talks, which most other software doesn't do. It actually talks to the firmware or whatever in the mic. So when you're changing the settings, like that 50 dB, it is actually making that change not in the software, which is what a lot of the other software is doing. It's actually talking to the pod mic via the USB, cable, and this is my understanding anyway. And it's actually there's like a chipset or whatever in the pod mic itself. So it's actually that's why it doesn't work with other software is because that's not really just an EQ software. That's actually software that's talking to the pod mic.
No, no, it's specifically designed for it.
Yeah.
And there's about 5 different mic brands. Shure make really great mics. Sennheiser make really good mics. And there's many other brands that make great mics. But Rode, which is an Australian company, makes very good products, world famous products, which I'm sure Zakia would agree. Now, Zakia, let's see if we can get you up on stage to highlight this great. Oh, we're having trouble with Zakia. She keeps dropping out. Maybe there's something going on her signal there. That's all right. We'll keep trying.
Hold on a second. You're sharing your screen. How many spots do you have available? There's 4 of us here. 5.
Yeah, I can do up to 10.
Okay. Because I was gonna volunteer to step down to make room for her because I'm off to Walmart before.
Oh yeah, you got to go. Why don't we do that? That might actually be the trigger. If you don't mind, you got to go anyway. So why don't we get Zakia in? It might just be a little bit of clog on the system.
All right. Everyone, have a wonderful evening. Always a pleasure. And we'll see you on the other side.
Thanks, mate. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for coming. Always
Thank
enjoy
you.
talking with you.
Right on.
Right. Now,
Bye
there's
for now.
something going on there with Zakia. I don't know whether the signal is bad. I'll get her to try again. But there we are. Zakia, that might have done the trick.
Well, good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Or
Now,
afternoon, depending on where you are.
Are you calling in on your Rode pod mic and your Rodecaster?
I am. Can you hear it?
Yeah, we can.
We can hear that lovely golden voice again. That we were chatting you up with all of your lovely sound gear. But I mean, you have a lovely voice anyway.
Yeah.
But we've been talking about how if you want to in essence if you want to project authority, it's going to be kind of hard to do in a tinny, echoey environment. So when you invest in stuff like you have with the Roadmaster and the Podcaster mic USB, it shows. I mean, it's like Keith says, you can't unhear the difference. I mean, even talking with I'm falling in love with you right now with your voice.
Hey.
But I'm serious. It comes across so rich, and I'm sure you're making use of uh, microphone technique too, with the how far away you are from your pod mic. But it just I really think it's hard. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of they call it the golden radio voice. Well, I'm hearing something that's approaching a golden radio voice from you. So
Wow. I was actually in an interview and a guy said my voice sounded like butter. And I do have to give some of the credit to the Rodecaster Pro 2 for that, because it does have, like, on the screen that Keith has up now, there's a depth and then there's also a sparkle. So I can adjust that. And then there's also a presetting for a podcasting sound or a broadcasting sound, which will, yep, there he goes with the very good graphic. And that really has an impact on it. And I was someone who was suffering from gas. I don't know. Have you all heard that term before? And not in the
Gear
not in the
acquisition
bodily
syndrome? Gear acquisition syndrome.
Yes. And
Can't stop,
I
you can't
really
stop.
I can't stop.
I blame Keith for that though, because I actually bought so I have the P4, but I also bought the P2.
Yeah.
Probably a little too soon. I don't know how happy Keith is with the P2. I probably would have better. I think I would have been better off maybe waiting and getting something from Rode, because that's going to be my next purchase as far as sound gear. I mean, I did go out and get the D770 earphones, the 250 ohm. All I can say on that side, Zakia, is it makes all the difference. I mean, I can hear things that, and whether you get the 80 ohm or the 250 ohm, it's kind of a sort of a personal choice. Um, the 80 ohm you'll be able to basically use with everything. The 250 ohm you're going to have to find. Actually, with your caster, you can probably use it. So you don't even have to worry about that. But I can't explain. Number one, they have that velveteen or whatever cushion, so it's very comfortable on the ear. But the sound is just incredible. And when Keith is talking about various sounds, I can hear the difference. Whereas if I have some of my other headsets or if I'm using a any other of my earphones, I can it just makes a huge difference. So I am in envy of you with your your caster.
Yeah, I had binge watched so many YouTube videos. I didn't really know the power of what I had when I first purchased it, but it turned out to be a really good investment because I did end up starting 3 podcasts, but now even so, I've now built out 4 podcast studios, and the first thing that I buy for every one of those clients is either the Rodecaster Pro 2 or the Duo, depending on their setup. But for each one, typically the pod mic is the lower cost. It's only 99 or 149, depending on when I get it. The mic is inexpensive, and oftentimes I'm able to get a complete kit for about 1,400 for them to start out their podcast studio. And it's all because of my own experience with it.
One of the things I'll mention right now, this is a very, very cool. Layla also makes products, and Zakia Layla has a really cool business model for people that make products. So can we just exchange pleasantries on what you both do? Because I think there's enormous synergy here. Layla wants to enter the podcast market, and she makes homemade products in the beauty space. So I'm surprised you guys don't know each other yet, but this is exactly what my show's about. Layla is in Vancouver, and you are in Philadelphia, yeah? Zakia,
Correct. Layla, tell me more. Or did Layla
Thank
step
you.
away? There
No,
she is.
she's here. I just want to make sure that my sound sounds okay because it feels like we got a bit of a sound snobs in here, so I want to make sure that I sound okay.
Please don't
Um,
be self-conscious. We're here to help. You sound fine.
no, I'm just being silly. I think it's funny because these are important, and I'm getting better, so I'm learning all these things. So I want to make sure that my message come across that you can hear me properly too. So yeah, so I make handmade products. I make bath bombs, bath salts, lip balms, liquid hand soap, soaps, body soaps, loofah soaps, and I started that a couple years ago when I was in business school. And I do have a very sensitive skin. And a couple years ago, I was diagnosed with PCOS. So I have a metabolic condition that makes my skin more sensitive and highly inflammatory to a lot of things, on top of being celiac. So any products that I use that is outside of me, I have serious reaction. So I always made my own products for myself, but I never thought to sell it or make a business out of it. And that's when I went to business school. And they launch a challenge of like, you have 1 week to come with a business idea, and it has to be handmade. And we're all like freaking out in the class, like, what kind of professor comes up with an idea like that? Like, this is insane. And I said, the only thing I know how to do is soaps and bath bombs for myself and salts. So I pitched the idea, and my prof was like, let's go for it. So a whole semester I worked on it, I built it, and later on I sold that at my first market. And it's like, you got a great, brilliant business idea. Why don't you just pursue it? At that time, I was like, yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I don't want to do this. And here I am, a couple years later, still having that business, and I've grown slightly a little bit more that I'm actually selling on marketplaces, and I'm B2B a bit more than B2C. And it looks like there's opportunities for me to expand in actually larger retailers. And that's where I'm at.
How exciting is that, Zakia? Like that's exactly what you do.
Yes, it is. Well, I don't do it anymore. I've transitioned more to the business coaching side, but I love your story, Layla. I don't know. Are you involved in any um, trade associations? Are you a part of the Soap Guild or the Canadian version of that where they meet up every year?
I actually know. I've just been really much on my own, and yeah, I just build it how, with what I have, like local community, like small business and nonprofit organization here that help me out, and things like that. Nothing big.
And are you leveraging any kind of social media for your marketing, like showing behind the scenes what you make, how you make it, the whole process?
Yeah, I do. I do actually
Awesome.
have like a TikTok channel. I have a YouTube channel. I've been posting my products and some of the making of it on Insta, a bit of Facebook, but it seems like TikTok is a better platform for some reason. I don't know why. And as YouTube as well, I think I'm spending a bit more time posting shorts the past little while, and that's also bringing traffic. Yeah, I'm just trying a few things, and my Substack as well. I was featured in a couple magazines. I've been featured in People magazines and things like that. So I have some media presence for showcasing my products. So I was fortunate in that sense. And recently, 2 months ago, I got an exclusive interview for a magazine as well that featured my brand.
Well, you are doing amazing. So, like Keith, yes, it is 100% synergy. I got started in 2015 by just live streaming my hobby of making soap. And I was doing that on Periscope, which is now owned by Twitter. But I was able to grow an international audience and shipping my soap to 17 countries and all over the United States just from my dining room. From there, I started self publishing books. I've now self published 4 books on how to make and sell soap. And then I also run an online academy, which is Live Soap School, that teaches soap making. And then I also run the Handcrafted Live virtual conference every other year, where we have 2 tracks, product making as well as the technology side of growing a business online, where we bring typically about 15 speakers over 2 days to teach in those 2. And we've had now we're up to 600 attendees that come to that every other year. So we have very similar stories, but I stepped more into the education side. We have a very interesting political climate here, which has made all of the ingredients triple or quadruple in price, which makes it very difficult to continue to source the ingredients that we need. So I've done more of a pivot on the teaching and less on the production side.
Wow, like that's amazing. That's like, you're totally right, Keith. Like this is like almost a match in heaven. She's
Yes, so
amazing.
we are going to have to connect. I can't see your name on here, but I'm going to send you a request on LinkedIn so we can continue the conversation.
Just sent you those details, and this is exactly why I do the show. This is exactly why I do it. Like, Layla is in Vancouver. You may never have met Zakia in your lifetime, because when are you going to go to Philadelphia next? You might go there, but even if you did, you'd probably walk straight past her, not knowing that she's this awesome person that you need to talk to. And Zakia might have been to Vancouver, but she doesn't know you there. So this is exactly why I do this show. So today we've had today Florida, New York, Philadelphia, Vancouver, Melbourne, Brazil. And the it just goes on and on and on. Like, we've had people calling in from Kingston, Ontario, rural Ontario, Austin, Texas, and people listening in from all over the world. This is exactly why I do this show, this exact thing. And I just love it when people connect and they get it. And then they form friendships and share knowledge. And what I'd love to hear from you, Zakia, have you heard of School? And if you have, do you use it or other community software? Do you have a community, and what software do you use?
Yes, I have heard of School, but you know me and my lifetime deal addiction, and I'm sorry, we have some stuff happening in the kitchen. So I am the Heartbeat girl. So I have my
Heartbeat.
community on Heartbeat, and it's the lather lounge for soap makers.
And that's heartbeat.chat. Tell us about it and how much did you get it for?
It was $179 at the time. I can have unlimited students in there, but then it also has, of course, the community aspect, but you can host courses, you can send out newsletters, you can have challenges, you can have video chat, audio only chat. It's just a wealth of things that you can do with it. And I just don't have to pay a monthly fee for that. So I absolutely love it. Yeah, I can't say more about like more great things about it, but it has everything that school has minus the subscription with all of the features.
Because you got in early. It's heartbeat.chat. There's about 100 of these now. And Heartbeat's very good. It's very cool. It's normally about $100 a month. So I mean you got a bargain. Like it's really quite expensive for what it is. It's about I think $89 a month. For the basic, $40 a month. Okay, sorry, $40 a month for the basic version, $108 for the growth version, which is probably what you've got, and you've paid one time for this. But one of the things I wanted to mention, you may have missed this one. Richard has a brand new product, which is a lifetime deal, and I know you love them, for SEO for AI. And I don't know if you've been exploring what we call AEO or GEO. Have you got any understanding of that? Are they just funky little acronyms no one understands?
Oh, I absolutely have been digging. I did see his lifetime deal. Is that still going on? I thought I missed it.
No, it's I think you're right. I think it was supposed to end soon, but the site is called savannah.com and without an H. And what it does is it basically operates as an AEO or GEO decoder. So you can actually go and find the keywords that these AI generated sites are using. It's a miracle. I had no idea. He only just invented it for fun. Have you heard of this? And what's your take on an AEO and GEO? Do you try and do it in your stuff, or is it just too out there?
Oh, I absolutely do. Maybe about 3 months ago, I had started having, because my brain, as I was looking at the search engine results that would come up, more and more of them were giving me either AI summaries or just really short snippets. So in my brain, what I do is I always ask the generative AI to teach me how to do those things and have it come up. So I had a really long conversation with ChatGPT and asked it to give me a specific project plan to upgrade one, my live soap school page, but also my business tech lab so that I could become referenced in the generative AI tools. And one of the main things that it gave me was I had to start including schema on the bottom of every one of my web pages. And sure enough, I haven't been as successful with Business Tech Lab because that one is pretty competitive. And then also the clusters. However, for Live Soap School, I am definitely showing up in the generative AI tools as well as the search engine optimization. I have not heard the term GIO.
What does schema mean? Let me just freak up what you're saying there. So AEO, answer engine optimization, is for things like Alexa, Google, Siri. When people talk into their phone and go, "Hey, can I have a really cool a recipe for chocolate cake with that's vegan?" You got a good, cool reference for, and it searches the internet for vegan chocolate cake, right? And my wife does this like every night. She's got the phone out. GEO is designed for Perplexity and ChatGPT and Copilot. So, same idea in a way, but just the targeting different products. So I just heard about this last week. So I'm not by no means an authority, but I'm very interested in what you said there about schema. What does that word mean? What does that mean?
So I was referring to it incorrectly. When I was talking to ChatGPT about it, I was calling it AI optimization, which is what you're referring to as GEO, generative engine optimization, I'm assuming. So I didn't have language for it or a term for it, just recognized what I wanted for it. And it said, in order for, well, it made me understand what the generative engines were looking for in order to surface a website or a piece of information when it's giving a response. I didn't even think about Alexa, Google, and Siri. That's a whole other ball game. So I'm going to have to look at that. But in terms of the schema, it's how you provide, it's kind of an HTML code snippet that you put at the bottom of a page in language that the artificial or the generative engines are going to be able to read when it's scraping your site. So aside from the spiders that are just searching for your H1s, your H2s, your H3s, the schema that's typically at the bottom of the page, you can't see it when you're just looking at it, unless you're looking at the source code. But at the bottom of your page, there's additional information like who the author is, who the organization is, what are the frequently asked questions, what is the page really about. So it's similar to search engine optimization, but it's done in a way that the generative engines can read it.
So it's based on HTML. Yeah, you put it in the back engine.
Correct.
Okay, you
But
can't.
it's
The person reading it can't see it.
correct. And then there's also the other elements of where else are you being referenced as an authority? So that's where the LinkedIn piece comes in, or the backlinks that we used to talk about in SEO, where you're being referenced by name or by your brand. So my name is pretty recognized in the soap making industry. So that gave me a lot of umph, I guess, for the artificial intelligence stuff. But then I didn't have as much brand mentions. So I worked on that. And now when I'm searching in different chat GPTs or Gemini, and I had to do them in other ones because, it starts to learn you and it just gives that back to you. I am now appearing, or my brand is appearing for specific things that I have targeted on my site, which is great.
I love this. I just love this idea.
And Zakia, I actually, in talking with Richard, he is, if my understanding is correct, is the lowest tier. So he has multiple tiers. He does have a lifetime right now, still open. Kind of expensive to me, but it is what it is. I think, to be honest, I would probably write my own GPT or something to help me do this. But I will say he's already put in, the effort, and I actually plugged in my Substack article, and it came back. I think it rated me 60. If I remember, hold on, it was 60 out of 100. But my point is, even when you're, yeah, it was 60 out of 100. I was not aware of this was specific to Substack. Now, just for clarity, this is not my ranking within Substack itself. This is my ranking within a given model. So ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini. I had not heard of schema, so that's another thing I'm going to have to. I'm kind of interested if there are like Wix or whatever. I'm assuming already have AI optimization tools and would probably do that for you. But it sounds like if not, then you're going to have to do your own modification in HTML, which can be fun.
Yeah. I have a notebook on it. It was something about the impact of zero click and what most content marketers are currently experiencing in terms of they spent all of this time to get to page 1 and page 2 of Google. And with the rise of generative AI and again, those search snippets. So I asked the question to ChatGPT, if this is what content creators are starting to experience, how can we ensure that we are still showing up either in those search snippets or within the generative models. And it gave me like a 12-week project plan for what I needed to do across my sites. So I
Well,
always
that's
say,
why.
go to the source, right?
Yeah,
Like a
that's
lot of
why I
us are,
like.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna just say that's why I love ChatGPT. I mean, we all are struggling, right? And I'm like, just ask the stupid models because they know what they're looking for. Yeah, like people ask me, well, Mike, how do you do your prompting? And I'm like, I ask the model because unfortunately, in today's fast-paced world, every time they rev, even if it's a minor rev, Zakia, um, prompting can change. So uh, and again, I use pretty much almost all of the major models, and it's like every time I go, I'm like, I'm not getting the answer I want. So I just say, Gemini, I'm looking for this. Give me the prompt that will produce this, and it gives me a prompt, and at least it's better than what it was. But I think in this space, it's a little tricky, particularly like with Google, because Google's right in the middle of converting. It's not clear to me if they've gone completely AEO or GEO as opposed to keeping. I'm assuming they're they don't want to cannibalize their traditional search. So I'm assuming over time maybe they will offer you AdWords, for lack of a better word, for GEO and AEO. It's not clear to me where they are in that process though.
Can I ask a question? Does anybody use agentic AI?
Yeah. Let's have a chat about that. Agentic AI. Tell me what you mean by that. Is that the idea of making AI agents?
Yeah, I posted maybe I think a week ago an article that I saw in Harvard Business Review about it, and I've been asking around people. It's like, hey, do you know anything about agentic AI and how do you use it and which software we can use to actually start using it? And so far, I can get an answer. It seems like people I think are confusing ChatGPT and Gemini and Copilot with agentic AI. So I haven't found a software that does that.
Well, just for confusion's sake, I think it's ChatGPT does have an agent mode. So this is the problem. Um, is that the again things are moving so fast. So generally, what agentic means is that there's a separation between an agent and a model. A model basically is responsible for doing what it does, which is searching through its training corpus and coming up with an answer to your question. An agent can do multiples of that, meaning it's responsible for asking the question, not answering it. So it's taking the place of a human, right? And it's usually around automation, and particularly if you want to create a flow. That's what agentic AI is. So when you hear about agents, you may hear about something called N8N. You may hear about Make, Zapier, Zapier
Yep.
is Zapier. And I'm sure there's
Is
tons
that
of
like
other ones.
if then that?
Kind of. And oh, by the way, do this, and this, and then get the return on that. So you're getting the return from the LLM and saying, okay, do something else with that. Uh, for example, one of the things that I would use it for is, okay, I want to know the latest and greatest vulnerabilities out there, and so go find them, and then take the output of that, and then in essence give me a menu of things that I want to write on, and then hand that off to my writing tool, and step me through the framework. I don't want you writing it for me because one of the challenges with agentic AI is something called autonomous agentic AI. Autonomous means you just let it go on its own. I'm not ready to do that at all with AI. Now, just for clarity, there's, for lack of a better word, there's agentic AI built into browsers now. Comment and most comment I think is ChatGPT's, but there's other ones. I'd be extremely careful about the security use of agents in general. Why? Because Because it's a black box, it's not really clear about what they're doing from a security and privacy perspective. For example, if you use comment and give access to your hard drive, you don't really necessarily have control over exactly what it's doing on your hard drive. And that's my biggest concern, is something called human in the loop, HITL. I'm not ready to have any agent do anything on my behalf uh, by itself automatically.
Yeah, well, let's
Uh,
pick up on that. What was your inspiration, Layla? That was a very detailed and very mind-blowing definition. I'm not sure I even understood what you were talking about there. But Layla, what's your inspiration for using agentic AI? It does have some purpose, but I'm just wondering, where do we take it?
I don't know. I was just very curious, and that came through when I was reading the article and I posted it to others, and I'm just like, because technology, as we're saying, is moving so fast, is like, what do we do? What is it? Where we're heading? Like, it's just, just asking those questions so I can educate myself better and make a sound decision. And Mike, someone answered a good portion of it, that it's still not clear out there of all these models and new tools, that what can we cannot, like, it's a very fine line, and it's just so much of it.
Well, let's start with the idea of Zapier or Zapier, or another site called If Then This. If I'll give you a very good example of this very simply, and then we'll see how we can take it. So Zapier, a very good example would be everyone who says yes to coming to my show, send them this DM. Now, I know I'm going to get into trouble for this because LinkedIn hates this shit, but it's a very good example. If I've sent an invitation to people and they've said, yes, I'm coming, rather than manually sending each individual person the same note, can you do this? And if then that is the same. And a good example is when it gets to 50 degrees in the house, can you close the curtains? Actually, I'm just about on the way home. Can you open the front gate? So you're giving a task in the real world to a computer to save you doing it. But
can I give an example? Maybe
go
not
further than
necessarily.
that.
Well, my challenge is really, again, goes back to, okay, so in essence, the agent is your virtual assistant to do anything. Like, for instance, okay, I'll build an agent, or maybe there's an agent already out there, to book my airfare to Melbourne. Now, what are we talking about when we're talking about what's involved in booking a flight? Well, first of all, do you know, or do you know already what seat arrangements I like? I can't afford first class, or do you know that I can't afford first class, so that I have to be in either business class or economy? And then the biggest danger for me is, what happens when because it's automated, that I am giving you basically access to my credit card information. And what happens if you run amok and buy, 10 tickets, and I could potentially be on the hook for all 10? You see where I'm going with this? So, but the basic idea is to have a virtual agent to do whatever. And the power, or the charm, or whatever, the value is to provide automation. um my biggest concern is, for me right now, why there's something called hallucinations in LLMs. Hallucination is thinking, or it's the wrong answer, basically, that's given, and then in this case, it is very confident about the wrong answer. So if the agent is looking for, a response, and you get, in essence, the wrong answer, the agent really isn't going to know the difference. So my concern is, and just ongoing, is I am not ready to hand over complete autonomous control to AI. I just don't think we're there. And it's kind of hard to understand. This will get very, very technical, but AI right now is actually not thinking. It appears to be thinking, but it's going basically using very complicated algorithms to determine what the next logical step is in a process. It's actually not thinking technically. So there's no internal logic and so forth. That's called AGI, artificial general intelligence. I don't think we're anywhere near there. So what we're doing with LMs is awesome and doing a lot of cool things. I'm just not ready to hand over my credit card or this control without having me in the loop to validate and confirm and double check and then give final sign off. And that's not what most agentic AI is seeking for pure automation.
Very, very, very early days. Well beyond my comprehension. What do you think, Zakia? Are you playing around with this, or is it a little too science fiction for us?
No, I absolutely love it. I don't deal with the agentic AI where I give it permissions to like my bank accounts and all those other things because I'm similar to Mike in the I can't control what it can do, so I'm gonna not allow it to do those things. But I do a lot of vibe coding, which is agentic AI in a sense, because what we're doing is we're giving it a task and then it plans those tasks, it takes the action and it builds the various things that I'm asking it to build. So, in that sense, I'm using agentic AI, but not in the sense of, hey, I need to book a flight to Australia and it can go ahead and do that for me. I haven't released the reins on it that way.
But Zakia, again, I'm not trying to put too fine a point on it, but when you're doing vibe coding, is it also doing the release and is it doing QA or is it just basically coming up with the code? Because that's where I draw the distinction. Yes, it's sort of handing off the coding capabilities,
Hmm.
but is it doing testing? By the way, I don't know if you remember Claudio from Go Brunch, but Claudio is actually writing on another platform I can't talk about because I'm under NDA, but he's actually using agents to do all of this stuff. So I think he's doing his own coding, or at least some of his own coding. But in the new environment, to your point, either you can have it do all of the coding, or there's something called an IDE, and the DE stands for development environment. I don't remember what the I stands for, but they have AI. Almost all of these coding tools now have AI built in, and they, to your point, particularly like Claude Codex. There's a bunch of different versions, but there's Claude Code. Um, but the part of my concern about the coding is, again, because they've gotten ahead of themselves on security. I have a lot of concerns about people that are using vibe coding and then putting that out on the internet, exposing it to the internet, because we've had situations already where, uh, again, people didn't do, in my opinion, due diligence to make sure that they were doing the appropriate security controls. And so one of them is T, I think, which was supposed to be where females can get together and talk about their problems. Apparently, that was breached because they basically had no security, and it was vibe
Wow.
code. So
So
just something to think about.
for
In that
sure.
respect.
And what I've done, again, I have zero coding knowledge. So I am allowing it to go the entire paces. However, before the release, I take the code and I put it into both Perplexity and Chat GPT and ask it to do a scrub for those. Now, who knows? But I asked it to do a scrub and it did find twice that my API keys were open and visible, which created a vulnerability. And then there were two other issues that it said, do not release this without addressing this and this. So that's
That's
the go ahead.
and that's a perfect example of how to use the various models. Is use one model against the other to say, hey, can you look at this code and double check, and maybe even do 3 or 4 models. But I think that's awesome that you're doing it. Yeah, I just would be so. What I'm talking about agentic would being soup to nuts. So it writes it, it maybe even QAs it, and then it is responsible on GitHub or whatever tool they're using to release the code, to release the code. I just think that's a very dangerous place to be autonomous
Yeah, for
today.
sure. Yeah, I would 100% agree with that.
The attraction of all this stuff done for you is very important, because how much does a virtual assistant cost? $20 an hour minimum, right? And you
Right.
probably need them for 20, 30 hours a week. So there's money that you've got to fork out as a business owner. What are your thoughts on that, Lola? Do you have a virtual assistant, or is that one of the inspirations for trying to do this stuff?
No, I'm the assistant. I'm all departments. How's that? So no, it's just pure curiosity about, all this technology and all this AI stuff, and try to understand it as well. So I don't sign up for something that I shouldn't and end up in situations that could be quite detrimental to myself, my privacy, my data, like my banking information, credit card. Like these are valuable insights and discussions, because sometimes it's all bright and shiny and you don't really know, and people sign up for stuff and then they cut up in things and then you're stuck. And then you have to find a way to get out of it. So it's just more of pure curiosity. And I do agree with Mike as well. I find that that's definitely a scary place to be when the models itself or the agent are making decisions for you and doing things on your behalf to a whole different level. It's a bit scary to me. I don't know to what extent they're going to implement this anywhere right now. I'm not too sure, but it's definitely something to be aware of.
It's very, 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 very important. We have covered a lot of ground today. We've covered AI, AEO, GEO. We've covered CRISP and noise reduction. We've covered the Rodecaster series. I desperately want a Rodecaster Duo, because there's only one of me. But we can hear the difference between Zakia on a dynamic mic and Layla, who sounds great, on a $65 mic. Slight difference you can tell if you're really listening. I don't know if the audience can tell, but we can tell. I definitely want one of these Roadcasters, so please find it in your way to send me one. Or let's see if we can brainstorm that. But these shows are very, 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 very important, because we talk about things in a very open format, and there's no rules and there's no sort of limits, and everyone's equal, and that's what I love about this show. What I love about these shows. So what I might do is I might give everyone a chance to wrap up, and maybe touch on some of the things they thought were most important today. And then I might wrap it up with my theme song for my show that I've just started, called Multi-Streaming 101. I've got the complete loop, Zakia. I've got a theme song, a start song, an end song, a middle song. I've got the whole thing. It's unbelievable. And you've seen this develop, haven't you? You've seen me develop this format over time, haven't you?
Oh, sorry, dogs barking. Absolutely. I think you have come so far with what you've done, and you've always had a vision, and you've just slowly just added just one piece after another piece and another piece. And thank you for just always being so inviting, for having such a variety of people come on, and then having such that open dialogue. But yes, the opening song, mid song, maybe add a buy me a coffee song in there as well for your mid roll, to get to your Rodecaster Duo.
Yeah, buy me a coffee. In fact, buymeacoffee.com is up for renewal, which I think is next month. And my shows, which are on a Monday night, it would be just the coolest thing to say, instead of saying, go to whereiskeithtoday.com, I could just simply at this spot say, go to buymeacoffee.com and help me get my Rodecaster Duo. It's only $5. And if you've enjoyed it, it's cheaper than going to uni. So I love that. But what do you think are the key points you've learnt today? I mean, what are the key points you think have sort of really touched a nerve for you?
Well, that Layla is so close yet so far, with so many similar interests, and it's just a great new connection to have. And then just what Mike just shared in terms of having the security for this vibe coding. Like I thought about it, but not completely in the way that he shared. So I'm excited about that.
What I'm doing now is I'm going to do this especially for you. I'm actually creating a graphic where you and Layla are separated only by tech. Like technically not in the same town, but really the only thing separating you is a DM or a phone call. And you could do magic because you're both in the same zone, aren't you?
Absolutely. I can't wait to get it. And we'll do a live show together, Layla. It'll be cool. We're going to talk.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.
I love it. What are you've been with us for almost the whole show. What did you get out of today's show? Layla?
Sorry, I wasn't. Yeah, my takeaways. Well, first, I have to say, Keith has been, and that's just me saying it, and I never asked you, but I feel like he's been mentoring me. So bringing me on these shows and giving me this opportunity to like connect with people and meeting Zakia today, which is wonderful. Love her story, and I can't wait to learn more about her. And I'm learning about more about the experience of other people using Substack because I've been on it for only 6 days. So I'm learning a lot of that, as well as, from Mike, who's like really goes in more depth and giving great examples to really make you reflect a little further and more in depth to be like looking at things in a different perspective. So I think these conversations are really great, and it's such a new experience, and I can see the benefits of live conversations. It's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And what I might end on is the idea of Substack. Zakia, when we chatted last, you had fully embraced it. Have you found time to have a look at it, or has it sort of gone to the back burner? Because I've really fully embraced it. I'd love to hear how you've been using it.
Yeah, it's definitely fallen to the wayside. I go in to listen to those folks that I've connected with, but I am not an active publisher or creator on there. And you're about to miss Mike. I want to hear what his takeaways are because he's pretty insightful too.
Yeah. All right. We'll come. So, Mike, your thoughts on you've been with us almost the whole time. What are your main thoughts that you've learnt and wanted to share?
Well, that you still have the capability to totally forget about me in the midst of, a 3-hour show. But again, I joke. Um, my takeaway continues to be uh, the power of community. Here we have, it's not just the power of connection. It's the power of this conversation is greater than the sum of its parts. I love all of the parts, but I feel that when we get together, we get to see magic that we just can't see otherwise. So that's from a human perspective. From a more technical perspective, um, I don't know if I learned a lot, but I was reminded, particularly from Zakia, that I have to do a little more investigation, particularly around tools, around AEO, or some variant of that. But the flip side is like for LinkedIn, and I'm going to tie into Substack in a second. LinkedIn has because of the way LinkedIn works and because of how they set the new 360 brew, you're going to have to sort of conform yourself to its AI, and to some degree, hopefully, you don't have to do major changes to your content for AEO. I don't think so, but you kind of have to keep that in the back of your mind is how much am I wanting to trade reach for my voice? And that's a calculus that we all have to do. And is what am I doing, or how am I doing my business? Is it more word of mouth? Which, to be honest, Keith, you asked about at least right now the funnel, and most of it right now is word of mouth. Now, again, there's a few things that are going on I don't really want to talk about online yet, but there's quite a few changes relative to distribution and things. Uh, I'm hoping that shakes out sooner than later, and that I can start really stepping this up. But it's caused me enough concern that I maybe even have to reach out to a music lawyer, which I'm not. I mean, when you don't have case law, often they're not really going to provide useful help. But I would say overall, I continue to be encouraged by the use of AI, the thoughtful, careful use of AI, and like I said, I think it's allowing us to do things that we just couldn't otherwise. Whether it's for its multiplier, whether it's automating to make better or more use of your time. I would just caution, like I just did, on jumping kind of with both feet and not necessarily understanding maybe some of the ramifications of doing automated autonomous AI versus using the models. The other thing that you should in the back of your mind, and again, I'm not trying to make people paranoid, but anything that you feed into the models can be used by the model makers. And there's a little caveat that I don't know if you heard, that in the case of ChatGPT, your what I would have considered private chats with ChatGPT are open to they say targeted discovery, meaning that if there's a lawsuit against ChatGPT for something, that potentially your chats, your person or whatever you want to call your chats, could be exposed to that lawsuit. So just something again to keep in the back of your mind. And from a business perspective, I would look into, and again, it's a little more expensive, but the use of what I call private LLMs, as opposed to using ChatGPT's variant is go out and maybe get their model, but run it locally, and that includes even training, because my concern about a lot of these LLMs is that they're operating as black boxes, so you don't know what has gone into them. In the case of Suno, obviously that was a problem, and you don't necessarily know what they're doing with your input, and what that could be used for. So I just caution people. Obviously, make use of it as a tool, but be cautious and careful about what you use it for. So
I just love it. It's a limitless process, but we have been going 4 hours, and my stomach is growling, and I've been sitting in this chair for 4 hours. I probably owe it to myself to have a bit of a walk around. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to end this show, which is available on LinkedIn as a replay and also YouTube as a replay. So please go and have a look at those on the site that suits you best. And we do them regularly. Every week we do these shows. And this week I have a slightly different plan because we don't have any power in the house tomorrow. Can you believe it? It's 2026 and they're turning the power off. But I guess they've got to do something to keep the lights on. So tomorrow we have no power in the street, but I've moved the show for 2 days, and that's going to be called Multi-Streaming 101. And to give you a bit of a sense of what that is and how I use Suno, I have constructed, I won't say written because I didn't write the words, though the words were written by Perplexity. I've used Perplexity to write the chorus, and I've used Suno to make the song, and then I've just filled in the gaps. And this is the theme song for my brand new show, which is a series that only goes in February, but will be available on YouTube. Multi-Streaming 101. We'll end the show here, and that'll be about 4 hours. So that's pretty cool. Have a listen to this.
Multi-streaming 101. The choice is crystal clear. Now you can stream your story for the world to hear. Pick your path, there's no wrong run. spread the sound. YouTube, LinkedIn, let's spin it all around. One stream, many places, like magic in the clouds. Grow your crowd wider, make your fans proud. Oh, no need to juggle tabs or crash your feed. One upload, one dream, that's all you need. Multi-streaming 101, the choice is crystal clear. Now you can stream your story for the world to hear. Pick your path, there's no wrong run. Learn the rhythm. Multi-streaming 101. Chats all together, no one left behind. Messages flying, engagement combined, but focus can fade when you spread too thin. Deep roots grow slow. Where do you begin? Oh, Twitch lights up, YouTube glows, LinkedIn's in the mix, and everyone knows growth is fast when you break the mold, but building a tribe takes time and soul. Multi-streaming 101, the choice is crystal clear. Now you can stream your story for the world to hear. Pick your path, there's no wrong run. Learn the rhythm. Multi-streaming 101. Multi-streaming 101. Oh yeah, the choice is crystal clear. Now you can stream your story for the world to hear. Pick your path, there's no wrong run. Learn your rhythm. Multi-streaming